Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hope everyone is good.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So,
Sir, good morning.
so today is the first class that we are going to start after the introduction, right? So as discussed in the last class that we are going to start this session from basics. So couple of classes are based on the basics of networking and security concept, right? So that your strong foundation will be developed. After that, once we start with the SIEM and SOC concept, right, you're easily going to understand, right? Because in order to secure the network, it's very important to understand about the network, right? Without having understanding the network, you cannot plan to secure it. Yes or no? So that is the reason we will have a basic understanding of, we are not going to go very deep dive, but basic knowledge which is required to work as a security analyst or to work as the part of cyber security team. The basic knowledge required from networking perspective, security perspective, that will be covering here in next couple of classes, right? So those are very basics for the people who are already experienced in the networking and security. Those are very basic. So you have to bear with me for a couple of classes, right? However, you're going to definitely, get some new concept, maybe possible that you might not having that your concept clear, right? For those topics, even those are very basics, but are very important session for people who are new in this field, who are new in networking and security. Those are very important session. However, you might have watched those sessions already in YouTube, right? So if you want to revise after these sessions, if you want to revise, for example, daily we are taking the session, right? After that, if you want to revise the same concept, again, you can rewatch in YouTube, right? So that once you rewatch, you will have more concept clear, right? So for a couple of classes, because it's a weekend batch, right? So we'll have around 3.5 to 4 hours classes. However, the recording which have been uploaded in YouTube are 2 hours classes, right? That means 2 sessions, 1 class of equal to 1 class of the weekend. Okay. So let us start now. So you have a computer. You have a computer, right? You got a computer, laptop, desktop, anything, right? So now you want to connect to the facebook.com. Facebook.com is hosted in one of the computer in USA, right? So you want to access the facebook.com. So what is the first thing that you will do?
Internet connection.
First of all, what will you do?
Internet connection.
Internet connection. Everybody, internet connection, right? Without internet, you cannot access any website. Yes or no? First of all, you will take the internet connection. So internet connection, for taking the internet connection, from whom you will take the internet connection?
ISP.
From the ISP.
Internet service provider.
ISP means internet service provider. ISP, internet service provider, right? Couple of classes will be little slower, right? Because slowly move forward and will make it little faster. But initial classes will be starting with slowly, right? So ISP means internet service provider, right? In India, which all internet service provider are available in India?
Airtel,
Reliance,
Vodafone,
Geo Fiber, right? You
Yes,
have
sir.
Act,
AT Internet Act, right? Act
Yes,
Fiber, right? So these are internet service provider, right? From which all companies you may take, any of the companies you may take internet connection, right? Internet connection, right? So now, for example, you have taken this internet connection from Airtel. Yes or no? You have taken this ISP is Airtel. Airtel, right? Similarly, for example, of course, if Facebook, right? Facebook also has to take the internet connection, right? So Facebook has taken the in USA. Facebook has taken an internet connection from, for example, Telenor. Telenor is the ISP, and it has taken the internet connection from Telenor. What are the ISPs available in USA? Anybody? Anybody from USA? What are the internet service provider available?
AT&T, Comcast.
AT&T, AT and T, right? Okay. So for example, you have taken the internet connection. Facebook has taken the internet connection from AT&T, right? So now you can see you have taken the internet connection from Airtel, right? But here Facebook has taken the internet connection from AT&T. Now how you can connect, how your system can access the facebook.com, which is connected to the AT&T ISP? Yes or no? You are in India, but facebook.com is in USA, right? So how you can connect? Using the, how you can connect? Using the internet. Yes or no? Using the internet. So that is why we call this as an internet. Why we call this as an internet? That is why we call this as internet. Internet means internetworking. The full form of the internet means internetworking. Yes or no? Means one network to another network. Communication between one network to another network is called as internet. Here you can see you have Airtel network. Similarly, network means group of computers, right? Group of computer communicate with each other. We call as network. Yes or no? So it's a group of computer which are connected with each other. We call as network, right? So you have taken the internet connection from Airtel. Similarly, other people also have taken the internet connection from Airtel. Yes or no? So the group of these computers we call as network. Similarly, AT&T also, there are many computers, many subscribers who has taken the internet connection. So who have taken the connection. So this AT&T network we call as AT&T network. This network we call as AT&T network, and this network we call as Airtel network. Yes or no? Now, being a subscriber of Airtel, being connected to the Airtel, you can access any computer here. This Facebook access, Facebook is connected to AT&T, right? Now, how we can communicate? Using the internet. Internet means internetworking. Internetworking means one network to another network. Communication from one network to another network is called as internet. Yes or no? You have buses, you can see intercity buses, means one city which brings you from one city to another city. We call it intercity. Interstate, international, from one national to another national. Yes or no? Get your mind? From one network to another network we call as internet, right? So if you have taken the internet connection, so you know what happened. Internet means all the service provider are connected with each other. Yes or no? You can see you have Airtel network. For example, you are connected with the Airtel network, right? Now within the country you have Jio also. You have Jio also, right? Now you are connected with Jio. So can you access facebook.com? Can you access facebook.com? Yes, right?
Yes.
If you are connected with Airtel, still you can access the facebook.com. If you have something hosted on the Airtel network and you are Jio network, still you can access. Yes or no? Yes. Because that is the meaning of internet connect. Because you are, for example, you are traveling on the intercity express, intercity train, right? You are from one of the station, other people from another station, other people from other station. Everybody can travel. Yes or no? Because the train connect from one city to another city, and interstate, one state to another state, means all are connected. Similarly, in the internet, if you talk about internet, all internet service providers are connected with each other. Get mind? All internet service providers are connected with each other. That is called as internet. Irrespective, if you are connected with internet, either it is Jio, Airtel, or Act FiberNet, still you'll be able to connect to the Facebook. Yes. Why? Because all the service providers are connected with each other. That is the reason internet we also call as public network. Public network means neither it's of your father nor it is of my father. It's for everybody, right? It's everybody's network, right? That is the reason this network called as public networks, right? Yes or no? That is the reason internet is also called as public network. In public network, there are bad people also and good people also. Yes or no? Means it's for everyone's, not a, for example, Airtel network. If Airtel and Jio both are competitor, right? For example, Airtel and Jio both are competitor. Maybe they will have some kind of fights, for example, right? But they cannot deny to connect with each other. If they are not connected with each other, if they are not allowing communication from Jio to Airtel or Airtel to Jio, will not be called as internet. Because in internet, all service providers across the world are connected with each other. At any country, at any point of time, any city, you are sitting, if you're connected to the internet, right? You can connect to any people, any system which is in India or any location, right? Because all are the part of internet. So internet is not a property of anyone. This internet is not a property of Act FiberNet or Jio, right? It's a connectivity between two or more network. All the network across the world, all the ISP internet service provider across the world are connected with each other. That connection we call as internet. Understand what I'm saying? That connection we call as internet. You know what happens? Have any question? Somebody turn on the mic. Any question? Or you just wanted to say yes? Understand? So you know what happens? How this internet communicate with each other? If you talk about the normal terms, right? Within the company, if you have multiple, within the on premises, if you have multiple computers, right? Within one company, for example, within one company, we have multiple network, multiple computers connected with each other. We call as LAN, local area network. Local area network means within your office. Within your office. Any question you have? Someone unmuted the mic. Noise is coming. Namrata Singh, you have any question?
No, sir, not yet.
Noise is coming from your end. Within the office, for example, within the same company, if multiple, of course, you will have all the computer will be connected with each other, right? That network is called as local area network. But it is within locally to your company, locally to your office. Yes or no? We call as local area network, right? Within the city, within the country, if computers are connected to each other, we call as metropolitan area network. And in internet, from one country to another country, we call as WAN, wide area network. However, these are the definition within the same office, within the same company, computer connect with each other, we call as LAN. Within the same country, computers connect with each other like internet, we call as MAN. One country to another country connect with each other, we call as WAN. However, everybody is using the term WAN only for internet. Means after your company, if you connect to the internet, we'll use the term WAN now. MAN word are not being used nowadays. And nobody is using. We are using WAN. WAN, whenever we're talking about WAN, means internet. In your router, your firewall, you have WAN port on which you are connecting the cable of internet, right? It will be called as WAN, wide area network. So internet nowadays will be calling as WAN, wide area network. So now, you know how this service provider, let's understand how this service provider within the countries are connected with each other. You're like your Airtel, your your ACT FiberNet, your Jio, right? How they are connected with each other. For example, this is the Airtel network. This is the Airtel network. Like you have multiple computers on the Airtel network, right? There's the Airtel own network, right? Let's say, for example, Airtel is having 4,000 subscribers, 4,000 active subscribers, right? 4 lakhs. 4 lakh subscribers they are having. Airtel, now of course, being an internet service provider, all the service provider within the country should be connected with each other, right? So Airtel will have the domestic gateway. All the service provider have the gateway, call as gateway. So the gateway which is being used to connect the service provider to each other within the country, we call as domestic gateway. All the service provider, when they give the internet connection with the subscriber, they have the gate. Gate means it will have a gateway router. I'll tell you what is router later part. So it will have one device which connect to the other service provider within the country. That gate is called as gateway, national gateway or domestic gateway. I have given internet connection to all my subscriber. Now I have to connect to other service provider. Yes or no? Within the country, that gateway is called as domestic gateway or national gateway. So Airtel will have national gateway, which will connect to the Jio and other ISPs gateway to provide the connectivity with each other. Yes or no? Once Airtel connected with Jio FiberNet and ACT, any user from one service provider can connect to any user of other subscriber. So now by having this domestic gateway by all the ISPs, all the ISPs are connected to each other. That means national communication over the country. Anyone which is connected to any service provider can talk and communicate with any computer connected with any of the ISPs. That is called as domestic gateway. So every service provider must have the domestic gateway to provide the connectivity to the other service provider. That is called as domestic gateway or national gateway. Now, how this your own country's service provider, how they can connect to the other service provider with different countries. Get me? So now to connect from one country to another country, we have a gateway that is called as international gateway. What we call as international gateway. We know that after India is surrounded by ocean, right? Many different ocean we have. It is surrounded by ocean. So now how the connectivity will happen? So you understand that all the service providers are connected with each other within the country. Now they have to connect to other country, but our country is surrounded by the ocean, right? So now how in India, for example, this is a gateway. So not every companies are having gateway. Every service provider does not have gateway to connect from India to other countries, right? They are using gateway of other service provider on lease. They are taking on the lease. For example, the company which had the international gateway is VSNL. Initially in India, VSNL. VSNL means anybody knows? Full form of VSNL.
Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited.
Some people even may not be heard about this name. First name VSNL.
Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited.
Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited.
That is the reason I said people may not have heard about this name. His name is Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited. It is not BSNL. It is not BSNL. It is VSNL, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited in India. This is acquired by Tata now, long back. That's the reason now the name is gone, VSNL, because VSNL was acquired by Tata Communication. So VSNL was the only company which had the international gateway. Every service provider used to use VSNL gateway only to connect to the internet. Later on, Reliance Communication has set up their gateway. So how the communication happen? For example, let's say it's a gateway is not just a gate that anybody can go. Yes or no? If you have home, right? If you want to go outside, it is not something that you just create a gate, right? You should have a road also. Then only you can connect to the city or anywhere. By just developing or creating, building a gate only, you cannot communicate. You cannot travel. Yes or no? Gate can be built by anyone. Yes or no? But the important is road as well. You should have a better road so that people can travel from one location to your home to other location to city. So that means gateway means those companies has developed the road also. That means connectivity also from one country to another country. So now how the communication happen? What do you think that? It is, for example, this is a gateway, right, which connect from one country to another country, from India to US or other countries. So how this communication happens from one country to another country? Because there is an ocean in between. So how the communication, what do you think that?
Sir, through wired connected internet?
Fiber.
Sir, through wired connected internet?
Fiber optical.
Okay.
Through fiber opticals.
Okay.
Submarine cables through
Anybody else?
Underwater wires.
submarine cables.
In this class, nobody is saying through wireless.
IP address is wireless.
In this class, nobody is saying that through wireless communication.
No, I'm telling it's through wireless communication.
I mean, every sessions, every batch of people used to say that one of the person at least that the communication will happen through wireless. How you connect your mobiles and all, because there's the ocean in between, right? So you may have towers here and you may have towers here. They can connect with each other. Nobody said this in this batch.
IP address.
I'll tell you what is IP address, but it's not for connectivity. So when we have connectivity, then for identification perspective, we are using IP address. I will tell you what is the use of that, but that is not the thing.
For wireless has some limit.
So the answer was not through wireless, right? Because wireless communication, Wi-Fi communication is just for your comfort, right? In wireless, when you go away from your antenna, from your WAF device, web device, what will happen is wireless access point. WAF means wireless access point, right? Wireless access point is a kind of antenna which spread the signals. So wireless communication is for your comfort, so that while moving also you can stay connected. But how far you go with the antenna WAP, right? The signal quality may get degraded. There will be a packet loss, communication loss. So what is being transmitted, same packet cannot be received by the receiver. Get in mind, that means in strength of the signal will get degraded. But here, the important point, when you, please mute your mic, when you are using mobile, the important point is stay connected, right? Even for example, I'm transmitting 100 Mbps. If you got 10 Mbps also, your work can be done. Yes or no? That is the reason for comfort perspective, we are using Wi-Fi wireless. But final communication, if I do wireless communication from here to here, the signal will not be, every packet will not be, there will be packet loss, there will be communication loss, right? So end-to-end communication, see, after signal came here through wireless, through WAP, wireless access point, we can distribute the signal. But with the tower, one tower to another tower, communication is happening through cables. If everywhere Wi-Fi, then these people must not be digging the roads. You see, every time, every year, you'll have some road digging happening, right? You must be thinking that road is being constructed recently, and again they're digging. Again 4G came, they're digging the road. 5G came, they're digging the road, right? If wireless can work like this, right? No need of digging down the road and putting the cables. Yes or no? That is the reason, because final communication. Please mute the mic, Sanjay, Satyam. This communication from one access point to another access point happens through cables only. Cables may be anything through copper cables, but nowadays there are faster communication can be enabled using the which cables?
Fiber cables.
Fiber optical cables. That is the reason you have faster internet, 100 Mbps, 1 GB.
Fiber optical.
Right? Because fiber optical cables are very fast, right? Before, if you know, I remember that we have 412 kbps speed, even 256 kbps speed, right? Long back. Why? Because that time communication was happening through copper cable. Nowadays, faster communication is being enabled using the fiber optical cables, right? For faster, see, if you have taken one GPS connection, right? So one GPS connection should be end to end. It does not mean that cable came for you to 100 Mbps and other in between it is less than that. Then you less signals, right? So what happens is this communication from one country to other countries also happen through fiber optical cables. The high bandwidth, if you see on the internet, if you see the video on the Google, YouTube, high bandwidth fiber optical cable deploy inside the ocean, right? And that is the reason we call a submarine cable, submarine fiber optical cables, right? So within the ocean, high bandwidth cable has been deployed, fiber optical cables. नहीं damage नहीं उसका से बनाया गया है उसका पे. So fiber optic cable, you will see the machines how to deploy fiber optical cable within the ocean. You can see the video also. There are machines so that they can deploy this within the ocean. There are fiber optical cables to provide the communication. Those are very costly. That is the reason not every company can set up this gateway. Now you had gateway for BSNL, means Tata. You have Reliance Communication. So Reliance Communication, you know that, right? Their business has been demolished. Means they are not in business of communication now. So they have given their bandwidth on lease to other companies, right? Similarly, now we have Reliance Jio also. That is the reason Reliance Jio is cheaper, was cheaper than other service provider. Reliance Jio is also having their international gateway, which enables communication from India to other countries, right? That is called as international gateway. Those companies have deployed their fiber optical cables. Get it? So that is for international communication. They have taken the bandwidth on lease, like Airtel has taken the bandwidth on lease from other companies as to go outside of India. You know, you will not believe that. I mean, maybe you can believe that, but you might not be aware of that. That within the India also, many of the service provider has taken the bandwidth on lease. They do not have their own network, like your SSV internet, SSV in Mumbai, SSV internet. You have ACT fiber net. ACT fiber net do not have their own network. They have taken the lease, this bandwidth from other companies, right? For example, I have taken, like, it's kind of a wholesale. It's kind of wholesale. I have taken 1 Gbps bandwidth. Now I am giving 100 Mbps by sharing basis to other people, subscriber, right? So that is something that they do not have their own manufacturing. They are the kind of wholesaler, a reseller. They have bought on wholesale and they are reselling, right? So that means they do not have their own bandwidth. They have taken the bandwidth on lease from the service provider and giving you the internet access, right? Earning money, earning some commission, earning some percentages out of that. Understand? Clear this to everyone? What is internet, right? LAN, WAN, WAN. Well, LAN, WAN, WAN. LAN, MAN, and WAN. Local area network, metropolitan network, and
Wide area network.
Understand? Internet means internetworking, communication between one network to another network we call as internet. Once you take the internet connection, that means you are connected to the world. You're connected to the whole world. Whoever connected to the internet, you can communicate with each other. Yes or no? Being sitting in India, I can talk to the people. I can communicate to the people of Australia, Singapore, USA, right? Other countries, but not from all. North Korea. North Korea has certain restrictions. You cannot communicate with them because their country has put some such restrictions. Nobody, they have isolated themselves with other world. So that is the reason. Otherwise, all internet service provider across the globe are connected with each other. That is the we call as internet. Understand internet? So now you know what happens. Like you are sitting here. You are sitting here. You are being identified with your name. Your name is Mradul. His name is Mradul. I have 25 people here, for example. If I call Mradul, only he will speak. Yes or no? If I say, yes or no, listen to me, who will speak then? Everybody will get confused. To whom I'm trying to talk to? Yes or no? That is the reason, so that I can communicate with right people. You have your unique name, so that only you will speak. Yes or no? So you are being identified with your unique name. Yes or no? So generally, maybe Mradul name some other people also are having, but it's a one of the rare situation where we have 2-3 Mradul in the same place, right? Then we have last name also identify the right person. Mradul's full name. Mradul Misra, Madhur Salma, Mradul something else, Madhur Sahu. So we have added last name so that we can identify the unique person. Yes or no? So it's your identity. Name and surname is your identity so that people can talk to the right person. Similarly, you understand that it is not about the one city. It is not about the one state. It's not about the one country. Your computers are connected with each other across all the country, across all the globe, right? So if one computer from India want to communicate to other computer on the USA, right? Then how this computer will identify that, okay, I want to talk to this computer, because there are billions of computers connected with the internet. Yes or no? Like you have your name, your computer should also have the unique name address. Yes or no? So that this
address.
can communicate to this computer, that is called as unique
IP
address.
address.
We call as IP address. Yes or no? IP address is a unique address of any computer connected to the network. If you are in your local network, still means in a company network only you have 100 computers. If any computer want to communicate with other computer, it should have IP address, unique address. Then only all 100 computer can communicate with each other by identifying their address. Yes or no? And within the internet, when you have global network, computer available globally, right? They should have the unique address, right? So if 2 or more computer wants to communicate with each other, they should have the unique address for identification perspective, that is called as IP address. So IP address are always unique address. IP address that has been assigned to your computer right now. As I mentioned, the IP address are unique address. That means the IP address of the computer which has been assigned to your computer right now, no computer across the world are using the same IP address. Yes or no? That means IP addresses are unique address. Got in mind? Unique means you cannot have more than one computer which are using the same IP address. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So what you can understand, address means IP address means unique address. So the version which has been launched initially, we call it IP version 4. IP version 4 is the 4-octet address. 4-octet, that means, for example, 199.0.5.100. This kind of 4-octet, 1 octet, 2, 3, 4. 4-octet numbers you will see. Right? This is called as IP address, and this version is IP version 4. IP4 means IP version 4. So initially, when internet started, they have IP version 4, right? But now, by understanding the expansion of the internet, billions of computers are being added day by day on the internet. Billions of computers are being added day by day on the internet, right? So demand of IP address, because IP address is unique address, every computer should have IP address. So now we should have IP address so that every computer can have it. Now it is 4-octet only, and maximum it can be 255.255.255.255. This is how it has been designed. Means 00002 255. This is maximum limit here. So how many permutation and combination can be created within this limit? So now by considering the demand of IP addresses, right? So what happens is there is a international authority, international internet authority, that is called as IANA. IANA. IANA is international internet authority which is responsible for managing the IP addressing, right? So INI initially has released this IP version 4, right, to understand the situation, to fulfill the IP address requirement of time. But by considering the expansion of the internet day by day, new computers are being added, right? So they have released one more version of IP addressing that is called as, which version it is that?
IPv6.
IPv6. Now in IPv6, you don't even have number. IPv6 is how many? IPv6 is having how many octets?
8 groups.
6.
Six, right? That is again why we call as IP version 6, right? Because it's having 6 octet. 6 octet, and also it is not only numbers, it is a combination of
Alphabets and numerics.
Alphabets and numerics.
it can be like, for example, 1 2 3 AB, right? 2 4 5 and J, like this, right? So it's a combination of alphanumeric. That means now again octet are 6, and it's not only number, combination of alpha and numeric, mean more permutation and combination can be created. That means more set of IP address can be developed in IP version. That is the reason, by understanding current demand, IP version 6 was launched. For example, when I had my first mobile of Reliance Communication RIM, we used to call as RIM mobile, Reliance India Mobile. So we have the mobile number. My first mobile number was 50. Only 6-digit mobile number. Mobile number was only 6-digit. But after that, internet, mobiles started expanding, mobile companies. Then more and more people started using mobile. The number become 9300. They've added 4 more digits, 9300505683, because less permutation combination can be, less number can be created, right? Can be assigned within this limit. Then they added 4 more digits so that more permutation combination can be created. Initially, you might have seen in India, you have numbers starting from 9, then it started 8, then 7, then 6, again now 5 also, right? So because of the future demand, they have not increased the mobile number digits, but they are decreasing. They are increasing the series: 9 series, 7, 8 series, 7 series, 6 series, 5 series, so that more permutation and combination can be created. So that numbers can be assigned to more people. Understand? Clear this point to everyone? IP version 4 and IP version 6. As of now, over the internet, the communication you will see on IP version 4. Means whenever you take the integration, the final IP address over the internet, you will see like this: 199.0.5.100, like this. 1 of 3, 4, 5. As of now, internet communication is happening on 4-digit, means 4 octet, means IP version 4. But see the mobiles and all, for example, hotspot. If you connect my mobile number, I have enabled the hotspot. The all other computer will connect using IP version 6, right? So locally it is being used for IP version 6. Got it?
Sir, what about the host name?
I will tell you. Clear this point? Okay. So IP addresses are unique addresses, right? But IP addresses are not free. IP addresses are not free. That means you cannot have this IP address for free. There's an organization that you can call as INA. INA is the international authority which manages the IP address, and INA assigns the series of IP address to service provider. Now, for example, Airtel has 4 lakhs of computer, right? As I said, IP addresses are not free. service providers buys the IP address. Service provider buys the IP address from INA. They do not buy single IP, but series of IP. We call a subnet or network, right? They buy series of IP addresses from INA, right? So as I mentioned, all the IP addresses are not free. Means IP addresses are not free. There's certain cost involved behind every IP address. So this is internet connection is from Airtel, right? The service provider is Airtel. Similarly, like you, for example, you got the IP address 199.0.2.50. You are not the only subscriber Airtel. Airtel is having 5 lakh subscriber. Airtel internet service provider is having 5 lakh subscriber. That means you understand IP address. In order to communicate with the internet, you should have unique address, IP address, and IP addresses are not free. Now Airtel is having 4 or 5 lakhs of subscriber. That means Airtel has to buy 5 lakhs of IP. Yes or no? And for example, one IP cost, one particular IP cost 5,000. Then Airtel has not 5 lakhs of computers subscriber, 5,000 rupees per IP address, right? So how much is the cost? Huge cost. Yes or no? Understand? Means as you understand that the IP address are unique IP address. The particular IP address assigned to your computer at the same time. No other computer across the world uses the same IP address. Yes or no? IP addresses are unique on the internet. So Airtel has 5 lakhs subscriber. Now, in order to give the internet access to 5 lakhs of subscriber, Airtel has to buy the 5 lakhs of IP. There is huge cost involved in 5 lakhs of IP addresses. Yes or no? Yes, no, yes.
Yes.
So now Airtel has done some trend analysis and came to know not all 5 lakhs of users are using the internet at the same time. Some people might be using morning, some people afternoon, because not are you using internet 24/7? 24 hours? No, right?
No.
Hardly anybody using internet 24 hours. Okay, I paid this much amount, so I'll take the full value. I'll use it 24 hours. You'll not do that. You will sleep. Yes or no? Might be you are working for 8 or 9 hours. Some people are working 1 hour, 2 years. Sometime 1 hour, 2 hours only you are using. Not 24 hours. Yes or no? Not 24 hours. 1 hour, 2 hour, 5 hour, 10, 9 hours. Right? Not 24 hours. So Airtel got to know that no. People are not using internet 24 hours. Airtel has some trend analysis. What time, how many people are using, right? So Airtel got to know that out of 5 lakhs, around around 2 lakhs of user, around 1,50,000, 1,50,000, around 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs are using in the daytime. To ऐसे कर देता हूँ. 2 lakhs in daytime, afternoon, right? And 1.5 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs in the morning, and 1.5 lakhs in night. Maximum you can see maximum 2 lakhs are used concurrently in daytime. Daytime maximum concurrently means at the same time. Concurrent means at the same time. So maximum 2 lakhs of users are connecting. Out of 5 lakhs, maximum 2 lakhs of users are using on the daytime. Maximum. Yes or no? At the same time. Not all. Less user connecting morning time and evening, night time. Generally, night time will be less even. But just for example, I have written this value. This is an example. But maximum, you understand, maximum 2 lakhs. Means not all 5 lakhs of users are accessing internet at the same time, right? Airtel then think, do I need to assign 5 lakhs of IP, because not every not full day they are using internet, right? Not every people. So Airtel got to know one concept that is called as DHCP. Airtel got to know one concept that is called as DHCP. Anybody knows the full form of DHCP?
Dynamic host
Dynamic
configuration
host
protocol.
configuration protocol.
Dynamic host
Configuration protocol.
configuration protocol, or some
Dynamic
Control
host
protocol.
control protocol.
Control protocol.
host control protocol. Either you call as dynamic host configuration protocol, or you call as dynamic host control protocol. Dynamic host configuration or control protocol. Dynamic host configuration or control protocol. Dynamic host DHCP. Airtel got to know about the DHCP concept. Using the DHCP concept, which Airtel came to know, anybody, any service provider, anyone can reutilize the IP address, can reutilize the same IP address, right? That is called a DHCP. So Airtel has configured one DHCP server here. Airtel has configured along with their this one network, they have configured one DHCP server here. So out of 5 lakhs of IP address, what Airtel has done is Airtel come to maximum 2 lakhs IPs are using. So out of 5 lakhs, Airtel has just bought 2.5 lakhs of IPs. Not exactly 2 lakhs, but just to make some room, they bought 2.5 lakhs of IP. Now in DHCP, what will happen is any computer once connect to the internet, right? The request will go to the DHCP server. This we call it DHCP pool. Why we call it DHCP pool? Because it's having pool of IP address. All IP address Airtel has put on this DHCP pool, right? There's a DHCP server within that. We have DHCP pool, on which Airtel has kept, or anybody who are using DHCP will keep all the IP address, right? As soon as this you click on connect, your request will go to DHCP server, and on the DHCP pool, whatever IP address are there, one IP address, randomly available IP address will be assigned to your computer. For example, once you connect to DHCP pool, you got this particular IP. That is called dynamic host configuration protocol, because dynamically it will configure the host. Host means your computer. Dynamically it will configure the IP address to your computer. As soon as you click on connect, that is the reason when you connect to the internet, it takes some time, right? Not just click connected. It takes just like some seconds, right? Because it sent the request to the DHCP pool. And once you connected, your system will get the IP address, then only you will get connected. Yes or no? Because in order to use the internet, you should have the IP address. Within that time, once you connect, request go to DHCP pool, and your system got the IP address, then that is how you connect to the internet, because you should have the IP address. No IP address, no internet. Without IP address, there is no internet. Yes or no? Yes.
Actually, sir, already system have one IP address like 199 something, and DHCP is providing other IP address for communication to internet.
Hold on, let me complete this topic, then you can ask the question. Okay, let me complete this topic, then you can ask the question. Maybe it will be answered here only. So, for example, at the same time you connected, request went to DHCP pool, and your system got this particular IP address. Yes or no? Now, till the time you're using internet, your system will have this IP address with you. Once you disconnect from the internet, the IP address will get free and will go back to the pool. And now other computer, for example, after some time connect to the internet, again request to the pool. Very possible that that particular IP, it is not manual selection, automatically randomly may possible that the IP that you are using, the IP is on DSC pool, maybe it has been reassigned some other people. Yes or no? At the same time cannot be used, but once you are not using, it is free on DSC pool and it has been reassigned to some other computer, but it is happened random way. One random available IP address will be assigned. You can see in using a DHCP server, we can reutilize the IP address. Yes or no? Please, Neeraj, please mute your mic. Neeraj, Neeraj is done. Nara,
Yes, sir. Hello.
please mute your mic.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Actually, DSCP will provide public IP.
Anything. Either you have so as of now, just for your answer, I have not talked about what is private IP or public IP. That's why I'm not commenting on that. However, for just to answer, it can be done. DSCP can be considered for private IP also, public IP also, anything. But right now, for it, we use the internet. You should have this IP address we call public IP. But I'm not using that word as of now because I have not explained.
No, sir. Yeah, one more question, sir. DSCP will provide IP for communication to the internet.
Any communication. Right now, we are talking about the internet, right? However, it is your local network also. You understand that you should have IP address locally also within the company also. Even if you're not connected to the internet, require the IP address for communication. So that DSCP server you can use for internal use also to assign the IP address. Get me? As of now, we are talking about the internet. Okay. So you understand that in this way, Airtel has reutilized the IP addresses instead of buying 5 lakhs of IP address. Airtel has just bought 2.5 lakhs of IP address. That means Airtel has saved the cost of 2.5 lakhs of IP address. Huge, because Airtel is reutilizing the IP address. That is the reason. That is the reason when you take the internal connection, right? Any service provider, please mute your mic, please. Guys, once you have the question, please mute your mic. Otherwise, I'll have to drop you from the meeting. I cannot tolerate the different the disturbance for the other people. Okay, so make sure that once you have the question, you keep your mic on mute. You're free to unmute your mic. That's the reason I have not disabled your mic, but it's your responsibility. Once you enable, ask the question, keep the mic on mute, back on mute. Okay, because it's creating a noise. So what I'm saying is, what I was saying.
Using DHCP, we can reutilize the IP.
So I was mentioning that instead of buying 5 lakhs of IP address, Airtel has bought just 2.5 lakhs. Saved a lot of cost of 2.5 lakhs of IP address. I was saying that when you take the internet connection, so do you see on the bill that this is the monthly rental and this is the IP address cost? No, right? The service provider is not charging you for IP address cost separately, right? IP address cost is already added on your usage and all. For example, 700 per month is the bill, right? So 700, within 700 only IP address expenses all has been added, your bandwidth cost, IP address all already added. They're not charging separately. Because they can reutilize the IP address. That's the reason they are not adding much cost of IP address, because they know that they are not going to use 24/7. Yes or no? So they have, they can utilize this IP address to other computers. Get my? So this IP address is dynamic, right? Not static. This is dynamic. Right now it is with your computer, and next day or next time, next 1 hour, it is for other computer. It is dynamic in nature. Dynamic means, the meaning of dynamic, right?
Change.
Static.
Getting changed.
Changing.
It changes.
Changing, right? Dynamic speed. You must have heard, if you're a physics student, you must be knowing that dynamic speed, dynamic velocity, dynamic speed. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
गतिशील, हिंदी में बोलते गतिशील, डायनामिक गतिशील, वेग गतिशील. स्पीड को क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में?
रफ्तार,
हाँ,
रफ्तार,
स्पीड को प्रसार बोलते हैं।
रफ्तार से रफ्तार,
हाँ,
रफ्तार।
Gati.
okay, guys, this training is in English only. This training will be entirely on English. Whenever I'm using some Hindi word, you understand it's just a joke. Okay, you do not think that I'm using some important thing discussing on the Hindi. Hindis are mother tongue. Sometimes just for the joke or something, I might use Hindi in between, but you don't worry about that. I'll not speak Hindi at all or other language, any other language other than English during our discussion. So,
Sir, I have a question.
yes,
Yeah, actually, you told for example, concurrency of users like 3 lakhs. But you told DHCP 2.5 lakhs, maybe 50,000, maybe less.
so that is the
So
reason.
what will system will trigger?
So, see, for example, first of all, Airtel has done trend analysis already, right? Trend analysis already and came to know maximum 2 lakhs of users are connecting. That is the reason they have taken 2.5 lakhs of IP address. Means they have taken the IP in excess of what they need. But in case, for example, in case they bought 2.5 lakhs of IP address, and but number of users concurrently are more than that, right? In that case, now the other system will not be able to get the IP address because there is no IP address available, and resulting your system will not be able to connect to the internet because your configuration of the IP address will get failed. Understand?
Yes.
Okay.
So you will not get the IP address.
Then they have to buy IP address from IANA.
Not in this case. Not in this case. This is a fully responsibility of service provider to make the IP address in access so that everybody will be able to access. Right? So this IP address called as dynamic IP address because it is dynamic in nature. Moving from one computer to another computer, another computer to another computer, right? It's dynamic in nature. That's the reason this kind of IP address we call a dynamic IP address. And your home network, when you take the internet connection, the IP address is not fixed, it is dynamic in nature. You get by default dynamic IP address. Everybody at home, you are getting dynamic IP address, and that IP address also being configured dynamically. Means whenever you take the internet connection, does anybody call you? Okay, you do one thing, you configure this IP address in your system. No, right? You're not configuring the IP address yourself in your system while you're at home internet. Yes or no? You're not configuring the IP address your home yourself. It is dynamically being configured by the DHCP server automatically, right? That's the reason the name also dynamic host configuration protocol, right? There's a protocol by using which DHCP server will configure the IP address itself automatically to your system. No need to call anyone and ask and tell that, okay, you have taken new connection, you configure this, go on this option, go on the internet option, go on the LAN setting and configure the IP address. Nobody is going to tell and nobody is going to ask you because DHCP server has this facility. Automatically, it will configure IP address and make the internet ready. I'll tell you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, actually, I have a question. Like, for example, you are saying whenever we request some website on the internet, then we are getting some dynamic IP, like random IP we are getting, and after requesting some other time, we are getting another IP. It's not the same.
Right.
But what if like we are 24 hours our internet connection is on, even we are not requesting any website, we are just using the other internet apps like social media apps and all. So we will be having the same IP which we got.
Ideally, if you are connected, to the internet, it will have same IP address. If you're already otherwise, if you change the IP address, means your connection will get interrupted in between. Yes or no? If you're connected 7 days also, you'll get same IP only. If you're connected, for the moment, if you disconnected, IP address may get changed. Get me? Generally, there's a renew time. There's a IP address renew time on DHCP server. How frequently the IP address will get renewed? For example, 1 hour, I have connected to the internet. Maybe IP address DHCP server has set 1 hour. 1 hour has renewed time. अब deep dive पूछे तो बता रहा हूँ. You're asking deep dive, this is I'm explaining you. 1 hour as IP renew time as 1 hour. For example, I just connected and disconnected. Again, I connect. Again, I may get the same IP address because 1 hour the IP address reserved for you. It is customized. I can make it 5 seconds also. Means your disconnected IP will be reassigned different IP to you. But if kite 1 hour means within 1 hour I will connect back, I may get same IP address. After 1 hour, IP address will get expired for you and it may reassign to some other computer. That called IP renew time. You'll have the option DHCP server how frequently you want to renew the IP address. Got it? So what I was telling, this kind of IP address is called a dynamic IP address because it is not fixed. Yes or no? So IP addresses are of two types. There are two types. These are version of IP address, DHCP and IP version 4 and IP version 6. But the IP addresses are of two types. What are those IP addresses?
Static and dynamic.
Private IP.
Public and private IP.
Static and dynamic.
Static IP and dynamic IP address.
Dynamic IP address.
Static IP and dynamic IP, right? So this kind of IP address which are being assigned to DHCP server, it is static or dynamic?
Dynamic.
Dynamic because it's changing.
Dynamic.
Dynamic.
What is static IP? Static IP address is the IP address which will remain configured on your computer for the period of time for which you have paid. Get in mind? Static IP address is the same IP address, is not going to change. It will remain configured to your computer even though you are not using the internet also. It will not go back and assign to some other computer. It's fixed IP address. That is the reason we call it static, means not changing. Get in mind? Static IP means not changing. That is this kind of IP we call it static IP address. Dynamic means it is changing in nature, right? We call it dynamic IP address. Home user, being an internet user, are you actually bothered about whether your IP address? No, my IP address should not be changed. Do you have this kind of thought when you take the internet? People are not even checking what is my IP address and whether it has been changed next hour or not. You're not bothered about it, right? Whether your IP address is changing or not. Are you really bothered about it? Whether you have a static IP or dynamic IP address?
No.
No, right? You're not even checking what is your IP address, right? You even may not be knowing whether you have a static or dynamic. Yes or no? So you are not bothered about. See, from my home, I am staying in Jabalpur. In Jabalpur, in Vijayanagar area, there is a McDonald's showroom, right? When I was staying in, for example, one of the area Adhartal, I went to McDonald's Vijayanagar and bought the pizza. McDonald's में pizza होता है कि हाँ pizza. Domino's McDonald's में burger होता है burger. McDonald's burger. I bought the burger. I was staying in Adhartal area. I bought the burger. Now I have shifted to the Yadav colony. Again, I go to the Vijayanagar and I bought the burger. Domino's same burger. So does the Domino's bother about the no? You are staying first Adhartal. Now you're staying in Yadav colony. I am not going to give the burger to you. Domino's is not bothered about from where the people are coming. Yes or no? That means when you access any resource of the internet, you should have the IP address. But nobody is bothered about what is your IP address, why your IP address getting changed. Nobody is really bothered about. Yes or no? But what if Domino's, no, Domino's बोला था ना, MACD. What if MACD change their address, change its address? So will MACD change the address easily? It does not make any change. It does not make any impact if MACD change the address. Will it make the impact? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because people will not be able to find the SOC, or their business may impact because people may not be able to find it. So your address can be changed, but MACD address should be fixed.
Same.
Should not be changing frequently, should be fixed address. Get your mind? The MACD address should be
Same.
fixed address. right? So that is fixed address is static, and changing address means dynamic. Yes, yes or no? So when you are using internet, when you are using facebook.com, you should have address, but anything Facebook is really not bother about it. But Facebook address should be fixed. Facebook IP address should be fixed. Otherwise, because final communication is happening through IP address only, your computer will enter the IP address of facebook.com, then only will reach. So right now, Facebook IP address is 199.0.2.24. Right now, currently, people can access the Facebook using this IP address. But what next day, if Facebook change the IP address, is a big problem. People will not be able to access the Facebook. Facebook in this case has to buy the
Static IP. Static IP.
address, right? And those are the uses of a static IP address. If you want to make any services, any application available for outside user 24 hours any time, you have to give the fixed address. Yes or no? I cannot change my office from here to here, here to here, here to here. Right? So no, I should have fixed address. Any service provider, any application you are hosting, any website you are hosting should have the fixed address, means fixed IP address. This kind of IP address, which will remain to your computer, your server, you configure to your machine, right? This kind of IP address called as static IP address. So understand, user dynamic and static, right? Any home user, any one who is not bothered about any application you are not hosting, you can have dynamic address. Why to pay extra? While a static IP address will be fixed IP address, which will remain with the computer all the time till the time you have paid for. You can buy this IP for lifetime also, or you can buy this IP for monthly rental also. Like we have the static IP on your lab. We have firewall here on which we have configured a static IP address, so that from home you can enter IP address and port number. You can connect to our server, connect to our lab. If I'm changing the IP address every time, I have to call you and ping you on group that please configure this IP address. Please configure this IP address. A headache, right? So I have configured a static IP address, right? But a static IP address has huge cost if you buy it for lifetime. But I don't want lifetime. Nobody knows the future. It's not that big company. Yes or no? So what happens is I have bought the IP address, static IP address, but with the use of monthly rental, I am paying around 350 rupees plus GST plus tax for this static IP. Means over the bill. It's over and above the bill. Total bill which is coming for normal internet, 350 rupees plus tax is the static IP address charge per month. So this is not permanent. It's a static but not permanent, because I'm paying the monthly rental. If I buy the IP for lifetime, that will be on my company ownership, right? Right now, if you check the IP address on the internet, what is the owner? It will show you the Airtel is the owner, right? If you buy the IP address my name from ISP, you can buy, because you cannot directly reach to the INA. Mobile number, if you have to buy from mobile service provider, right? Not to Try. In India, we have Try, which manage mobile number, right? So we are not calling Try to get the mobile number. We are calling to mobile service provider. Similarly, ISP, the interface for you. ISP buy the IP from INA, series of IP from INA, and from them you can buy the IP address, right? So if you buy it permanently on your name, you seal document and everything, KYC and everything, you can buy that IP address, and anybody internet will check the detail, and your company name, your name will reflect on the detail. Get it? But I have bought this on the monthly subscription basis, right? So this kind of IP address we call as static IP address. So you understand what is the use, when you can use dynamic, when you can use static IP address. Understand? So IP addresses are of two types, static and dynamic. Understand? One of the advantage of going with the DHCP server, another advantage of going the DHCP server that you have, dynamic host configuration protocol, is it avoids the human work to configure the IP address. When I buy the static IP address, I have to log in. I have to log in with my computer or see any digital device, smart device which can communicate over the internet require the IP address. Either it is your phone, or it is any of the device, or it is any smartphone, a smart device, right, which can connect to the internet, will use the IP address. Internet means IP address. If any device, it's not always computer, it's not always your laptop, desktop, or server. Any digital device which is smart. Smart means internet. Smart TV, use the IP address. Yes or no? To communicate. So So one other advantage of having this DHCP is you don't need to configure the IP address manually. Yes or no? Instead, just connect and you get the IP address. In case of the static, we have to configure the IP address manually. Yes or no? If Airtel will start assigning the IP address manually, then they have to send a technician to configure the IP address. Yes or no? Or they have to call service. You have to call center and they will tell you how to configure the IP address. And people not every people are not that educated enough, or they do not have that knowledge to configure it, right? So that is one of the advantages, that dynamically, automatically, the DHCP server will assign the IP addresses to your company. Got it? Clear? Anybody have any confusion till now?
No, sir. What is MAC address?
MAC address is a physical address, like your computer, your laptop, like your mobile, you have IMEI manufacturer, like your car. In your car, you have chassis number. In your car, you have chassis number, right? This number, registration number, MP20, then AF2056, right? This number is an IP address, which is being assigned by the network service provider, right? Now, if this number is gone, means IP address is not there, how will you identify the computer? Using the MAC address. MAC address is a physical address. When you buy a laptop, when your manufacturer the computer, right? It gives the unique name. That is called as MAC address. And mobile we call as IMEI. And in your cars, that is called as chassis number. Yes or no? See, police identify the car. Sometimes there is no numbers, right? They check it out with chassis number, whether number is matching with chassis number or not. Yes or no? So MAC address is the physical address. Understand? But do you use MAC address always to display on your car? Right? No. You should have registration number, not the chassis number. Clear?
Sir, every phone or laptop or computer has a unique IP address, right? So it is a static, right? It won't change.
Come back. What are you saying?
Every phone or laptop or computer having a unique IP address. So it is a static.
Now the Ramayana is over. See, what do you understand? I am saying it is dynamic. It will be dynamic. Automatically, it will configure to your computer, right? It will be dynamic in nature. Once you disconnect, it may get changed, and you might system may receive some other IP addresses. That is called a dynamic IP address. If you buy the static IP address, and you understand in what cases you buy the static IP address, in case you have to Facebook, have to give the services to other users, they cannot change the address. In that case only, we are using static IP address. And home, whenever you connect to the internet, your system will get dynamic IP. Automatic will be assigned to your computer. You are not going to assign. They're not going to configure the IP address. Got it?
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay means clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Or it's fine. You're just saying okay. Clear, right?
Clear.
So that is called as now you understand.
I have a question.
Yes.
The routers and the firewalls which we use in our house or any.
I will tell you. I will take this question a later part, because I have not explained you router and firewall and all, right?
No. I just want to confirm that the routers and firewalls which we place in our home places, those will have this static IP address, right? Because we buy it.
Then what is the use of dynamic then? If your router that you are using at home, if it gets the static IP address, then what is the use of dynamic then in that case? Service provider has to assign the IP address to router, right? If you were to use static IP, then what is the use of dynamic? One IP address is assigned to your router. It will be dynamic only, not static. Unless you pay a separate cost and ask service provider you want to have static IP address. Until that, you'll have dynamic only. Get it, mind? I will tell you how it works. How using one connection, how using Wi-Fi or through cable, how multiple people can access the internet, right? How the IP address is being assigned to those computers. I will tell you once talk about router and. Got it? Clear? Clear? Your home router.
Yes, sir.
So dynamic,
Yes, sir.
not static. Okay, so understand IP address are of two type, dynamic and static. And IP address are unique IP address all the time. Whenever you are connected, it will be unique, and no computer across the world are using the same IP address that you are using right now. Okay, so now it's good. I took the internet connection. You took the internet connection, and now either static or dynamic, the system got the IP address and connected to the internet and got this IP address 198.0.2.24. My question was, you want to connect, you want to access the facebook.com? Yes or no? You want to access the facebook.com. So what will you do first? You said that first of all, you will take the internet connection. Then I have briefed you about what is internet, how it works. And they also understand that once you take the internet connection, one unique address will be assigned to your computer, either dynamically or statically. Dynamic means DHCP server, or statically means you will configure yourself, or someone you're not aware, you call some technician and they will configure. Okay? So now you to the internet, you got the IP address. What is the next step now to access the facebook.com? What is the next step?
Browser.
After taking the internet, what will you use? What will you do? What do you do?
Login.
URL.
Directly log in.
Open browser.
Browser.
Open the browser.
Browser.
Got the internet, but you will open the browser now. Browser, the application, right? You can access any website, any web applications. An application. So open the browser. After that, what do you do? After that,
Type the URL.
Type the URL.
https://facebook.com. Well, what is this? You're opening the browser and you're typing this link https facebook.com. This needs to mic, please. Some people has a lot of noise. So it is using facebook.com you're entering. Means you are entering this. I am asking you, Facebook is hosted on this server and having this particular IP address, right? So I'm asking you to access the facebook.com, but instead of entering the IP address, because you understand, right? Two computer and computer will identify over the internet.
Fully qualified domain name.
Sir, the name will be converted to the IP address.
My
Right.
name.
So as I said just now, that in internet, computers are being identified by unique IP address. Unique address means IP address. This computer want to communicate with Facebook, it has to use the IP address. But what is this you are entering here? Facebook.com something URL. How the computer will come to know? Where the computer understand only IP address? Yes or no? So you rightly mentioned, you rightly said that it's difficult to remember the numbers. Yes or no? When Aurangzeb came to India, when the Akbar died, it was history, right? It's very difficult to remember the number. Numbers are difficult to remember compared to letters. Yes or no? That's the reason we use letters here instead of number. For simplicity, just we can remember. Facebook.com, Google.com, Orkut.com, SIEM XPERT.com, easily you understand, easily you remember, but always 192.199.0.5.100, difficult to remember, right? Just for simplicity, you can remember. That is the reason we use this Facebook.com. But computer uses IP address only. Computer do not understand Facebook.com. Computer understand and communicate using the IP address, which is called IP address. Yes or no? Now, once you enter URL means facebook.com, right, to the browser do not understand. Then, because browser can only initiate connection, go to facebook.com by having the IP address only. Then browser will ask someone, Bhaiya, somebody has access, enter facebook.com, but I do not understand. I only communicate using IP address. Can you tell me what is the IP address facebook.com? If you can tell me, then I can forward the request to Facebook. Yes or no? Then we need someone who can tell, okay, if somebody accesses the facebook.com, then you redirect this request to 199.0.2.200. We should have somebody, and who is the one who tells the browser where to redirect the request?
Domain name
DNS.
system.
DNS.
DNS.
We call that DNS. Domain name system or domain name
Server.
that means one man, not man, but one server will be there, that we call as DNS, domain name system or domain name server. As soon as you enter the URL on your browser will ask DNS server, will send a request to the DNS server and ask, Bhaiya, can you check on your DNS table and your DNS library? So DNS will have a table, big table. On that table, it has record, we call it DNS record, right? In this record, it will have facebook.com IP address 199.0.2.100 like this, right? So once this request sent to the DNS will look up on the rich record and check facebook.com. Okay, facebook.com record is this one IP address. Then it will get the IP address, right? This process is called a DNS lookup, right? And this is called a DNS query. And this change checking is called a DNS lookup. Either you call it DNS lookup or call it DNS query. It is querying a DNS, right? So either you call it DNS lookup, it is looking at the record, or DNS query. So as soon as you open, it will send a DNS query, DNS server or DNS system, domain name system, and check what is the IP address. Now the facebook.com will get resolved to IP address that is called DNS resolution. DNS request, DNS query, then DNS resolution, resolving from one to another called resolution, right? So this DNS will resolve the DNS query and give the IP address of facebook.com or any website that you access, right? Your DNS server have the record for each and every website across the world. If DNS does not have record, that means you can't access that website using URL. Understand? Yes or no? So all the DNS across the world has all the records. Without records, you cannot access the website because nobody is there to tell you that this website have this particular IP address. Yes or no? I call it DNS poisoning. If your DNS got compromised, right, they'll manipulate, you access facebook.com and they change the IP address of facebook.com to some other third-party attacker server, and you access of facebook.com, your DNS will somewhere redirect to some other IP address, and it was a Facebook, it was an attacker, some phishing website or some malware-related website, right? You think that Facebook, and you may enter some credentials on that, right? That is called DNS poisoning. Get what I mean? The DNS attack or DNS poisoning.
Hello.
That is change.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. DNS server hosted on publicly or?
I'm telling you. So you understand, right? You understand this record or DNS. So record, there are multiple type of records on DNS, right? This kind of record of host of domain name with IP address, this record is called as a record. Mapping of host name with IP address is called as a record. Get it? There are multiple record on the DNS called as CNAME record, SOA record, MX record,
PTR, SPF,
TR, SPF very important,
TXT,
You have a text record, right? So there are multiple type of record. So this is the homework for you. What is DNS? What is the work of DNS? First homework of the batch. What is DNS? You note down. What is DNS? What is the use of DNS? And what are the various records and their uses? What are the various DNS record and their uses?
Sir, what is forward and reverse lookup in DNS?
That is also your homework. Okay. Then if you have any question, then you can ask me. But read whole about the DNS. Okay. DNS. What is DNS? Use of DNS. What is DNS record? And what are the usage of different DNS record? What is the use of A record, senior record, SOA, PF, MX, right? So you should know. Interview ask what are DNS records and what are different DNS records. Okay, but DNS had the table where DNS maintain the records, right? Any computer do the DNS lookup and it resolve the DNS query and give the IP address for respective detail. So you know what happens now? As I said, just hold on a moment. Maybe कैमरा डिस्टर्ब हो सकता है, कैमरा नहीं हुआ, केवल थोड़ा लूज है वाली, केवल में कुछ ना कुछ रखना ही पड़ता है। देखो लो मेरा ठंडा रहा है, तो भाई बहुत गर्मी लगती होगी नहीं तो अभी, है ना? नहीं तो मैं वीकेंड सेशन में खड़ा नहीं हो पाता, इतनी गर्मी लगती। Just allow me for a moment, okay?
Hello?
We'll take 15-20 minute break by 10:15. Means after half an hour.
Okay.
Okay, so what is selling? DNS, right? So you know, as I mentioned that where is this DNS server, right? As you mentioned that once you take the internet connection, you'll get the IP address, right? So along with the IP, if you're using DHCP, right? DHCP server means you're connecting automatically to the internet. So along with the IP address, your service provider will also configure DNS address also. Not only IP address, if only IP address configured, your browser will not be able to get that, do the DNS query, means your query will not get resolved. So along with the IP address, it also configure the IP address of the ISP DNS server. They will have one DNS server, right? For example, IP address is 170.169.0.y.2 to 220, right? But this along with your IP address, this one DNS server IP address of ISP will also configured to your system. Got it? So once it is configured, then it will query to the DNS of service provider. Then it will get resolved. If you're buying static IP address, then you will get IP address as well as DNS server IP address also will get, and you have to configure DNS server IP. If you're not configuring DNS server IP address, what will happen? You'll not be able to access the websites. Internet is connected, But website, because resolution will not happen. That means website you cannot access. Now you tell me that this ISP, DNS, how they will get the list of website and their IP address. In companies may have their own DNS server. They will not be using IP address, ISP DNS server. They might be using their own DNS server. So how their DNS server or ISP DNS server will get the record? You understand that I have made the website SIEM XPERT live right now in India within fraction of seconds, or within maybe 1 or 2 seconds. SIEM XPERT website can be accessible in US, UK, Canada, Singapore, Australia, everywhere. But when I have made this SIEM XPERT live, that means all the DNS of UK, US, Canada, South Africa got the record that SIEM XPERT has the IP address of this one. Then how the DNS replication happens? How when I made a website live in India, how, because everybody has their own DNS server, ISP have their own DNS server, company have their own DNS server. So how this DNS server get the entry? So you know what happens? For example, SIEM XPERT is a new company, right? Now first time we have made our website, right? So first of all, website is an application, right? An application you host on the servers, right? Servers is not much different than your laptop desktop operating system. Servers, like in desktop, you have Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 8 operating system. I will tell you in the later part if you don't have understanding of operating system. I will tell you. But servers are same as your laptop desktop, but has been manufactured in such a way so that it can run 24/7. Means 365 days continuously without stopping it. Laptop run for 7 days continuously, it get burnout. Laptop cannot be run 24/7. Desktop laptop has not been designed to run 24/7, 365 days continuously. They understand manufacture that laptop they're using for business use, personal use. After few hours, 8, 9 hours, maybe 10 hours, they will shut down and it will get a rest. But servers can run 24/7, 365 days without shutdown. Yes or no? That is the application which required to be accessible by multiple users as well as to be run 24/7. They use server. Who is not RS? Please mute your mic. Who is not on mute? Not RS. Guys, please mute your mic. Unnecessarily do not mute. Okay. Once I take a pause, you have a option to ask the question. Then you unmute and mute yourself again. So let me tell you that, for example, SIEM XPERT. So I have to host SIEM XPERT, right? So first of all, I have to set up a server, right? Server will have more memory, CPU compared to desktop laptop, because server will use more. Many people will log in on the application which is hosted on the server, as well as it has the separate operating system. Windows 10, 11, you have desktop laptop operating system, workstation operating system we call as, and server like 2012 or 2016, 2019. The Windows. So these are server operating system, which is having more feature, more option compared to your desktop laptop operating system, Windows 8 or Windows 10, 11, right? So first of all, I will have to configure one server, means hardware. Then I have to install one operating system. For example, I have deployed Windows Server 2012. I have deployed operating system, right? After that, I have to connect to the internet. Then I have to configure IP address 199.0.0.5.100. Then after that, I will deploy a website, SIEMXpert.com. We'll deploy a website here, SIEMXpert.com. Yes or no? Now, SIEMXpert.com website that we have will have this particular IP address that I have configured on the server. Right? Now, SIEMXpert, my website, have this particular IP address. Means this particular server and application will be identified by this particular IP address that I have configured on my. Okay, but I want now people can access my website by this particular IP address, but you know that difficult to remember the numbers. So I have to tell people that this website can be accessed using SIEMXpert.com website. So I have to tell people, yes or no? Tell everyone, yes or no? So what will happen is you have to tell to the DNS, right? So you will have a DNS server on which you have to create a DNS record, mean mapping of your IP address with host with domain name. So one record we call a record we have to create on our DNS. If you have your company, generally company who keep creating such application, they will have their own DNS server. They will create the record on their own DNS server. Okay, this particular IP address have been mapped with SIEMXpert.com. Get mind? They create the record on their own DNS server. Now this record will get replicated, will get synchronized to all the DNS server across the globe. There is a universal DNS server we call as Google DNS server. Google DNS server, universal DNS server has the IP address. Anybody knows Google DNS server?
8.8.8.8.8.
This is a universal DNS server. All the service provider, all the DNS server are synchronized with Google DNS server. So as soon as you create that DNS record on your DNS, it sends the update to the Google DNS server, and Google DNS server has sent the DNS record to all the DNS server across the globe. So as soon as you created this website is hosted in the US, DNS server, it's synchronized with Google, and within fraction of a second, it sent the DNS update record update to across the DNS, all server across the globe. And within India, you said you access SIEMXpert.com, your DNS also got the record, SIEMXpert.com, and it redirects to the SIEMXpert website, which is hosted in this particular IP address within the fraction of. Google DNS server is free. Everybody can use this Google DNS server. Instead of configuring your IP address or DNS server, you can use Google DNS server also. It will work without any problem. Google DNS server also you can use. But if I use Google DNS server, then I have to deploy my website, record my website. I will have to reach to Google. That is the reason company have their own DNS server. Service provider will have their own DNS server. There are some service provider which are providing this kind of services. For example, SIEMXpert is not a big company. We are a startup. So we don't have DNS server. In that case, we have taken this services from GoDaddy. So whenever any application SIEMXpert website is hosted also on GoDaddy, and DNS record also created by the GoDaddy only on their own DNS. Okay, then why company use their own DNS? Why they are not using Google DNS for free? Why they are having their own DNS server? The reason is because, for example, our company is SIEMXpert, big company. We have 3-4 lakhs users. Our company is Bangalore. May possible that Google DNS server is in Mumbai, right? So where anybody access the Facebook.com any website, first of all, request will go from Bangalore to Mumbai, resolve, and then come back again, and then go to Facebook.com. It's a double work, right? That means there will be latency slowness on the internet. While if your DNS server is within the company only, it will just get resolved and go to directly to the internet, right? That means slightly faster internet. As well as whenever you have to host any website, create that record, you can create yourself. When I joined my first company, even being a part of security team, we used to create a DNS record. Whenever any application, external facing applications, means public facing website has to be made live. It's a US-based company, so we used to create the record on the DNS server. For example, US we have separate DNS server, and India we have separate DNS server, right? So some website which has to be hosted on US, we used to create the record on US DNS server. Once I will create the record, I will save it. Then I used to access the website from India, and within a fraction of a second, once I created it, within the fraction of a second at the same time, when I access, I was able to access. Means record has been successfully created. Okay, mind? So that is the reason company may have their own DNS server. Understand? Create the record. Various record you might have to create a different requirement. One day what happened? I took the connection from Airtel at my home. When I used to work in the companies, other company I used to work. So I had my smartphone and one company laptop and one personal laptop. Occasionally I used to connect all. one day I was able to connect my company laptop. I was able to access the website, internet, mobile also. I was able to access any website. But from a personal laptop, I was able to connect. It was saying connected and it was saying as internet access. Generally, when there is problem in internet, if you connect also, it shows you limited access or exclamation mark, no internet like that, right? Sorry, ganda kar diya maine. But that day it was showing internet access, and though there is no exclamation mark like limited access like that. But when I was accessing the website, I was not able to access what the page cannot be displayed. While other mobile and laptop, company laptop, I was able to access. What could be the reason why I was not able to access the internet from that particular system, even though it was showing as connected and internet access? What do you think? What could be the reason? Anybody? Anyone? Got my question? Yes, go ahead.
Bandwidth limitation.
Yours is not clear. What are you saying?
I'm saying bandwidth limitation.
No, there is no bandwidth application. Even I disconnect also from my other system, still I was not able to connect from that particular system only.
VPN.
Your IP is not registered with the particular server.
I checked. I did the IP config command on my system, and I was getting the IP address.
Static IP issue.
Huh?
Static IP.
You might not configure the DNS.
Packets may be dropped.
But I was connecting through DHCP, right? Means I was just connecting. I was not configuring the IP address manually. I was just
Sir, DNS address is missing.
That is correct answer. The answer is when I connected, right? Connected, click on connect. My router will act as a DHCP server to assign the IP address and DNS IP address. So when I click on connect, I was able to connect, and dynamically router was able to configure the IP address, but DNS configuration was getting failed, and resulting DNS address could not be configured on my another laptop. If there is no DNS, right? By access, internet is still there, right? Internet is not for DNS is not for internet access. It is for domain resolution, IP domain name to address resolution, right? That is our domain name server, right? So if I access facebook.com, there is no DNS server, it will not get resolved, and resulting it will not be able to go to the internet. And that is the reason I was unable to access the website. I have done the IP config. It's been long back. It's been 5 years back story I'm telling you. I done the IP config command. I run from my, CMD command line. You go on the run and type CMD. You'll get command line black color window where you can run the command IP config. You'll get the IP address of your computer. So I just run IP config and see IP address was coming, but I was difficult for me to identify. Then when I run the command IP config/all. When you give the command IP config/all, you can see the DNS address also. After it's from morning and I realized this in the evening. When I did the IP config/all, then I realized that my system is not getting the DNS address. And that is the reason I'm not able to access the website. Then I was not aware what is the DNS address of my ISP. Then what address I can configure to make the internet access to access the website? If I don't know the ISP DNS, then what should I configure?
Google's DNS.
Google DNS.
Simply I configure 8.8.8.8 and I was able to access. Right? Or I have the option, other machine on which internet was working, I would have configured IP config/all and I would have seen the DNS address of ISP and I would have used the same address also. Both options you have. Yeah, I simply configured 8.8.8.8 and I was able to access. Got it? Clear? Now you understand DNS, right? Use of DNS, why we use DNS, how DNS servers are getting the update, how you make your website live. Website making live of the website is just not to deploy the website. You have to create the DNS record also so that website will be available. Website will be available. Update ho raha hai kya? The website will be available for the end users. Yes or no? Clear? So now where we reached? You got a computer. You took the internet access. And you got the IP address after internet connection. You got the IP address. Now your computer also communicated with DNS. So you have DNS server also. Here you have DHCP also. You understand all this concept, right? Yes or no? Now you took the internet connection and you open the browser and type https://facebook.com, and now request will go to the Facebook server and you will get the Facebook page. Yes or no? Successfully we are able to access the Facebook now. That was the step. Now let's take an example. SIEM XPERT has been grown up now. Previously we have less people. Now we are shifting our office to new building, new facility, and we have again SIEM XPERT also is having around 5 lakhs of users. Means 5 lakhs of computers for different separate users. We have around 5 lakhs of computers. How many? 5 lakhs of users. So I have to design my network. I have to design the network. A moment. Now SIEM XPERT has to design their own network. Means new facility they have, new building they have, right? So we have to design the network so that people can do the business work with the internet, right? Yes or no? So now let's understand how we can design our network, how computers connect with each other, how they can access the internet. So I have designed my network of SIEM XPERT with new office, right? Considering that, two objectives we have. One objective, you understand, SIEM XPERT is IT-based company, means every employee should be able to access the internet, as well as every employee should be able to communicate with each other, means over the computer. One computer can communicate with each other within the network, right? One is internal connectivity, internal communication. We can have various applications deploy on the inside the company for internal users, as well as maybe Teams chat or other file transfer, right? One computer should be able to communicate with other computer within the company. That means internal communication. And second is internet communication. I have two objectives while setting up my network, while designing my network architecture. We have two objectives, means every computer should be able to communicate with each other internal to our network. Internally, every computer should be able to communicate with each other. That is my first objective. And my second objective is every computer, means every user should be able to go to the internet, means should be able to access the internet. I have designed this network in such a way. Yes or no? Total, how many users we have in SIEM XPERT? Anybody knows? So how many employees we have in SIEM XPERT?
5 lakhs.
We have 5 lakhs of employees. Just kidding. Just an example I'm taking. 5 lakhs of employees we have. Now I have to design a network so that all 5 lakhs of employees can communicate with each other internally, as well as can go to the internet. Now, when you talk about communication and communication over the internet, that means require the what? IP address.
IP.
Means every computer should have IP address, then only they can communicate with each other and can go to the internet. Now 5 lakhs of users, that means 5 lakhs of IP addresses. Means I have to buy 5 lakhs of IP address. Whose cost? Yes or no? From ISP, we understand. From ISP perspective, we understand because ISP, internet service provider, generate their revenue by IP address only, by giving the internet only, right? But here we are not going to generate revenue by IP addresses. We are doing some IT business, and just for setting up an IP address, we have to pay the huge amount. Yes or no? Get a point? Now I came to know, I realized I came to know the entire concept of DHCP. We also done the same trend now. So we came to know not all 5 lakhs user will connect to the internet at the same time. Almost 2 lakhs of user will connect. So again, to make a room, we have to buy 2,50,000 of 5. That is again a huge number. Millions of rupees we have to pay for IP. Then Aina came back to me. Aina said, "What? Don't worry about that. Why are you worrying too much? I have reserved some sort of IP address that anybody can use internal to their network." Aina said that these sort of IP address, because subnet of IP address or network IP address, what are those? 110.0.0.0/8 172.16.0.0/12 and
192.168.0.0/16.
Aina said that these range of IP address are free to use. You don't have to buy it. There are these 3 ranges. This is not a single IP address, okay? This is the subnet, means this is a range of IP address, right? If you resolve it, is called a subnet or network. If you resolve, multiple permutation and combination can be created. You will have millions of IP addresses on every range. Lower the number, higher the range. Higher the number, lower the range. Get it? Mind? If you resolve, right, there are classes of IP, A, B, C, right? So you have to understand what is the classes of IP. Just understand, not big, you don't have to deep dive it because we are not going to work on network. Just understand as a subnet, and if you can learn how to resolve this IP address, for example, 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.2, 3, 4, 5, this all number can be, this 3 number can be till 255, 255, 255. You can understand how many can be. This 168, these can be variable. This can be variable, right? But this is the range also matters, right? We resolve, multiple IP address can create it. If you understand IP addressing, you learn IP addressing, what are the classes of IP address. If you want, you can write it on the homework. Classes, IP addressing in classes of IP addressing, right? Subnetting, what is subnetting? You can write it, what is subnetting and how to resolve it. In mathematical calculation, everybody may not understand everybody, but that's fine. If you do not understand, that's fine. That is more on networking concept and that not required from study perspective much. But you understand, you write this like this, it's a subnet mask. This is called a subnet mask. Okay, when you see multiple combination of group of IP address, this is not a single IP address, but a group of IP address. If you see without slash, means single IP address. With slash means group of IP address, called a subnet or network. Understand? Clear? Aina said that 110.0.0.0/8/12/16, this range of IP addresses are free IP addresses, free. You don't have to buy, you don't have to pay anything to Aina or ISP. These are free IP addresses. That many Aina says that anyone, any company, anyone can use this range of IP addresses internally to their office, or internally internal to a network, either your home network, office network. Internally, these range of IP address can be used by anyone for free without any charges. These are reserved IP address, but terms and condition is you have to use it within your network only. Means Aina added TNC on this. Aina said that I am not going to help you alone. I am going to help everyone. I am not giving this range of IP only to your company. However, anyone can use this IP addresses. So, bhaiya, if you are also using the IP address, and other person, other companies also using this IP address, then IP address will not be unique. Yes or no? That is the reason Aina said that internal to your network, inside your network communication, you can use this IP address, but using this IP addresses, you cannot go to the internet. Means internet will not be accessible using these IP address. But yeah, you can use internal communication. One computer can talk to other computer. Means this IP address will be unique within your network. Means, for example, if you want 10.0.0.2, then within the same network, in internal network, this IP address should not be having should not be used by other computer within the network. But within the this will be used, but not you only. So different companies will use the same range of IP address. If all will go to the internet, there will conflict happen. Yes or no? All companies are using the same IP address internally. Conflict will happen. That is the reason these IP addresses will not be identified over the internet. Means you can't access internet using this IP address. This IP address for internal use to your network or for your private use. That is the reason this range of IP we call as
private IP address.
Private IP address or internal IP.
Internal IP address.
These now again there are two type of IP address: private IP address and
Public IP address.
Right. So these range of IP address called as private IP. You write it and you remember it sometime interview ask what is the range of private IP address, right? So this is the range of private IP. There are three ranges, three series of IP address which are reserved for internal use or for private use. We'll take a break of 20 minutes. It is 10:15 right now. We'll connect on 10. 20 minutes means 10, 25, 35, 10:35. Okay, after 20 minutes, we'll connect and we'll continue. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Hey guys, so welcome back. So where we were is this range of IP we call as private IP. I now said that this range of IP anybody can use internal to the network. That means using this IP, the internal computer can talk to each other, can communicate to each other. But TNC applies. That means this IP address cannot be identified over the internet. That means you cannot use this sort of IP address to access the internet. So first objective was to provide the internal connectivity, internal communication, right? So by using this IP address, right, my first objective got fulfilled. That means my internal computer can communicate with each other using this set of IP address. Right? And we understand there are two type of IP address: private IP address and public IP address. I'll tell you. So private IP address means the set of IP address which can be used only internal to the network, only private to the network. That is called as private IP address. And public IP address are the addresses which can be identified over the internet. That means using which you can access the internet. Those IP addresses are called as public IP address. When you access the internet, the IP address that you get, those are not from this range, from other range. That means those IP addresses are public IP address. That is the reason you are able to access the internet. If your system is having any IP address from this range, means you will not be able to access the internet. By having this set of IP address, I'm able to access the internet, right? So let me draw a quick architecture for my network. I will tell you the other component in the later part, but let me tell you that. And by this network, let's say you have computers, right? You have total 5 lakhs of computers. You have total of 5 lakhs of computers, right? One computer, two computer, the computer, right? So if I assign those IP address for internal range, for example, this IP address having 10 dot 10.0.0.2, 10.0.3, 10.0.4. So this is internal IP or public IP? This is private or public? These IP addresses are public or private?
Private.
Private.
IP addresses are part of that set, right? 10 dot range, right? So if you resolve 10 dot subnet, you'll have this kind of IP 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that. So these are private range of IP address, right? So this is my my network, right? In this network, even if you use private IP address, those should be unique. Means if I use 10.0.0.2, I cannot use the same IP to another network within my network. I cannot use the same IP address inside my network. So this private IP address are unique IP address within the network. Get me? So I have time 10.0.0.3.4. Now using this IP addresses are also unique IP address within the network, right? This computer now can talk to this computer talk to this computer, this talk to this, and this means all computer can talk to each other within the network by connecting in this network by having this private IP address, right? Means this my first motive got fulfilled, right? First objective. But now my second objective was, what was my second objective? What was my second objective?
Connecting to internet.
To enable internet access. That means these set of computers means user should be able to access the internet. Means whatever site they have to access, they should be able to access it. But again, I have on the same point, right? My computer have the public private IP address. They can connect to each other internally, but they cannot, because I said that using the private IP addresses, you cannot access the internet. Again, I'm on the same place, back on the same place. To access the internet access, we need which IP address? Which of IP address we need to access the internet?
Public.
Public IP address.
Public IP address.
Public IP address, right? As of now, these systems are having private IP addresses. Yes or no? So we need again in the same place. But I got to know when I was designing this, I got to know the concept of NAT. NAT stands for
Network address translation.
Network address translation.
Network address translation. Network address address of the network means IP address. Network address means IP address. Network address is nothing but the address of the network. That means IP address. So meaning of this means IP address translation. Yes or no? The meaning of NAT means network address translation. That means IP address translation. So doing this translation process, we call it NATing. Doing this network address translation, we call it NATing. Right? So here I got to know the concept of NATing. Okay, so this is one component we call as router. I will tell you after this what is router and what is switch. So when I came to know the concept of NAT, what I can do, this router is on gateway, gate of my network. That is what we call as gateway router. So here in this gateway router, I can apply the concept of NAT. NAT or NATing means network address translator. So you know, this Chinese Prime Minister will come to India, right? Now Indian people do not understand Chinese, right? So if they have to speak something, they should have someone. We call the person as a translator.
Translator.
Will translate Chinese to Hindi or Chinese to English. Translate means, so here we call language translation. Translating one language to other language called translator, language translator. Here network translator means translating
Private IP address to
Private IP to public. Public to
Public to private, vice versa.
translating one IP address with another IP
address.
not always private to public or public to private. Translating means translating or mapping one IP address to another IP address is called as network address translation. It can be public to public also, private to private also, private to public or public to private, anything. But here we'll do private to public so that they can go to the internet, right? But netting can be configured on any address, either private to private, public to public, public to private, private to public. Understand? That is called as NAT, network address translation, right? So in this, by coming to know this kind of concept of netting, my objective got fulfilled very easily. Now instead of buying 2 lakhs of IP address, I can even buy a single IP address. I bought this IP address. Which IP address? For example, I bought this IP address 51.0.2.15. This IP address I bought and I configured on the router public IP address. And I apply the netting here that any range of IP, any connection coming from 10 dot range, 122 to 160 192 range, any range of IP, when connection come, map those IP address with public IP address. Anybody use the access the internet will go to this IP address to the router, and router do the netting means will map this private public IP address. Now when you go to the internet, this IP address will go to the internet. Everybody using the internet, this IP address will go to the internet after applying the netting. Get in mind? So what happens is every individual person, when they access the internet, there will be a unique session ID, and that is how the router will identify when the connection go to the internet will come back, has to be forwarded to particular system, not other system, by unique session ID, right? But for source IP, when Facebook will check from where the connection is coming, all the connections are coming from this particular IP only, because private IP will not go to the internet, public IP will go to the internet. So lakhs of user can access the internet using same IP address, because there is no relation with IP address bandwidth. You cannot say one IP address means many people how the bandwidth utilization, because pipe is different, the bandwidth is different, and this is just for address. Get in mind? If you have big home, multiple people can stay in same address. It is not something that you have to have multiple homes for multiple people. You may have big homes where same address, same name of the home, but multiple people are staying. Similarly, same IP address, if you have bandwidth, and number of user can access the internet using same IP address. Yes or no? Now lakhs of users are connecting to the internet using the same IP address. My second motive objective also got fulfilled by having the concept of netting, right? If you want to deep down, you can write the homework. What is netting? NAT. What is netting? NAT. NAT. Same, but it is not mandatory to go through it, because that concept is fine. What we have understood so far here.
Sir, public IP address can be static or dynamic.
Public IP address can be static or dynamic, as well as private IP address can be static or dynamic. These IP address can be configured through DHCP server also, as well as you can configure manually also. Also write the homework how to configure static IP on the system. How to configure? It's very easy. If you don't know, Google it or YouTube, watch the video and configure it. How to configure static IP address. How to configure static IP in the system. How to configure static IP. So you just see it, but make sure that you change to DHCP only, dynamic only. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect to the internet. Now change it and see where to configure static, how to configure it, but do not change it to static. Otherwise, you'll not be able to connect to the internet automatically. You have to keep it dynamic only, but check the option where you can configure static IP address as well as DNS. Got it?
Sir, is there any limitation for NAT?
There is no such limitations. No such. You can define the full. You can even define the full series. There is no definition.
Okay.
Sir, in what cases static public IP should be used?
In
what case circumstances static public IP should be used?
Static, you have already given example, right? Facebook should have the static IP and the public IP address static, because Facebook has to be accessible by all the time, and IP address should not be changed. In that case, you have to go with the public IP address. SIEMXPERT.com has the static IP address. Any application that you access on the internet, all applications have the static IP address only. And when you have used the internet, your IP address is dynamic. Okay, got it?
Yes.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So router IP will be static only, no?
Yes. No, again, same you are asking some question. If router IP address is static, so here it may be static in the company. When
In this case,
it's static, here it will be static, but your home router, here I will configure it. I have to buy a static IP address and configure it. Otherwise, every change, how the will happen? If I would have, I have to do the netting, means it's a set of IP address I have to configure, or one IP address I have to transmit the other IP address. Both the IP address should be same, 6, right? I cannot have dynamic public IP here. So right now, that router IP address is fixed, but in the home network router, it will be a dynamic again. Whatever
okay, in office premises, we are keeping it static, right?
Of course, it is fixed. Okay, understand? There is a concept of netting. Understand? Now, how to design this network when you have 100 of computer, right? You have to connect together to allow this. So, how the internal communicator, internal devices are being connected with each other? How computer, laptop, desktop are being connected with each other in the company, right? There are two types of devices, networking devices in your company. In the networking, there are two types of network devices. What are those two?
Switch and router.
Router and switches.
Router and
Switches.
switches. Router and
Switches,
switches.
router.
For example, this particular computer, I am 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.3, 10.0.0.4, and here we also have some computers. And they're having IP address 192.168.0.2, 192.168.0.3, 192.168.0.4. Okay, you can see this computer .2.3.4 is a part of same subnet, right? The range series you can see 10 series, right? This is also same subnet 192 series, right? If there are two or more computer, which are the part of same network or same subnet, same network means same series, same network, right? If you can see it is 10 network, this is 10 network, this is 10 network, this is 192.168 network, 192.168 network, right? If there are two or more computer are the part of same network or same subnet, wants to communicate with each other. This computer want to communicate with this computer want to communicate with this computer. Of course, if they want to communicate, we have to connect them with each other, right? If there are two or more computer which is the part of same network or same subnet, if they want to communicate with each other, then we have to deploy the switch to enable the communication. Get it? If two or more computer are the part of same subnet or are same network wants to communicate with each other, then we have to deploy the switch to enable the communication. That means switches the traffic within the subnet or within the network. With the same subnet, same network, if there are two or more computer connected, then you can deploy the switch. Switch will switch the connection. Switch means switching one to another, communication from one to another, switching, right? Switch, you have switch, right? Once you click on switch, it will on, right? It will switch from here to here. You have multiple switches, right? Similarly, you switch will have one hardware device where we can connect to the network, connect to the computers, and this computer can talk to this computer can talk to this computer. All computer can talk to each other if you deploy the switch. Get it? If the two or more computers are the part of same network, if they want to communicate with each other, we can deploy the switch to allow the communication. So in brief, you can see switches within the network, because within the network, within the same network, right? Or within the subnet. However, if two or more devices are the part of different network, you can see 192.168.168.168, If they want to communicate with each other, then we have to deploy the router to allow the communication. You can see this is one network, so we have connected with switch. This is other network connected with switch, but this is different network. The two switches cannot be connected like this. If you have two computer, one is 192.168.0.2 and other computer one is 192.160 10.0.0.2 10.0.0.2. So in order to allow the communication, can we communicate directly? No, you cannot communicate the cable and connect directly. Both are part of different range. So what will you do now? What will deploy? Switch or router?
Router.
Here we have router. Why? Because both are part of different network. If it is 10.0.0.1 here, then what do you deploy?
Switch.
Because both are the part of same network. So when two or more computer or two or more network, which is a different part of different set of IP and different set of subnet, right? If they want to communicate with each other, you deploy the router. If two or more computer, which is the part of same network, we deploy the switch. You can see this is one network of same network, this is another same network, but both are different network. In this case, here we have to deploy the router to connect to each other. Yes or no? So router routes between the network, while switch switches within the network. When two or more router routes from one network to another network, router within one network, within the same network, switch. Router routes between the network, while switch switches within the network, means within the subnet. Either call your network or subnet. So you can write it here. First thing that you are writing from my end. What are the network devices? You can see, right? Switch and routers are the two network devices. Likhna hai. You have to write. There are two type of network devices. One is switch, another is router. There are two types of devices.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, actually, firewall is also network devices to.
Which one?
Firewall and proxy and other perimeter also.
These are network security devices, not network devices. Those are network security devices. There are two type of network devices.
Okay, sir.
There are two type of network devices. One is router, another is switch.
A load balancer.
That is not network device. Network device means which the devices which is used to create the network, right? That we call a network device.
Okay.
Load balancer is load balance, not to create the network. So router and switch. So there are two types of network devices. One is router, another is switch. Another is one is router,
Switch.
another is switch. Right. So first write the switch. Switch, right? If two or more devices if two or more devices which are the part of same network or same network slash subnet. If two or more devices which is the part of same network slash subnet, if two or more devices is the part of same network slash subnet, two or more devices which are the part of same network slash subnet want to communicate with each other, then we have to deploy the switch to enable the communication. Then we have to deploy the switch to enable the communication. Then we have to deploy the switch to enable the communication. In the next paragraph, you write. Switch switches within the network. Switch switches within the network slash subnet. Switch switches within the network. Switch switches within the network slash subnet. Understand?
Plus sub network.
Right. Switch is the layer 2 device on the OSI model. On the next line, you can write switch. I'll tell you what is the OSI model on the later part. You just write it here right now. Switch is layer 2 device as per the OSI model. As per the OSI model.
As per the
OSI model. Switch is the as per the OSI model. Understand? So now next is router. Next is router. Next is router. So if there are two or more devices, which are the part of different network slash subnet, two or more devices are part of different network slash subnet, different network slash subnet. Want to communicate with each other. Then we can deploy the router to enable the communication. Next paragraph, you write a router routes between the network. Routes between the network. Router routes between the network. Understand? Router routes between the network. In next paragraph, you write router is the layer 3 device as per the OSI model. Layer 3 device as per the OSI model.
Can you repeat, sir?
Router is the layer 3 device as per the OSI model. Now you understand, right? The network will be designed using these two devices, router and switches. All the computers will be connected to each other using router and switches, right? You will see many router, many switches within the companies, right? Even inside the company also, there are some VLAN, virtual LANs, some virtual LANs, right? It is not something that 10.0.0 1 million IP is being created, so 1 million IP same router. There are some virtual LANs can be created where you have to deploy the router first. Right, you can subdivide a series to multiple network, right? Then again you have to connect, then you have to use router. So multiple means 100 of router and switches will see in any of the companies, big companies, to connect these devices with each other, your computer, your server, your devices with each other. You have router and switches, which provide the connectivity, enable the connectivity between multiple digital computer, digital devices. Get it mind? Now, this is one of the computer, and you took the internal connection. Someone else has taken that to somewhere here, somewhere else. Black. Now this computer having the public IP address 199.0.2.50 200.0.2.20. ये black color दिख रहा है क्या? Are you able to see the black color on the board? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Black color is visible, right? I can use.
Visible, sir. Visible.
Okay, means we can use black color also. Okay. So now this computer wants to communicate with this computer, means it is one of the network hosted somewhere in the company, and you are also whatever, right? So in the network, how two computer communicate with each other, right? That we have to understand. How two computer communicate with each other means in the digital network, how the communication happens. One system to another system, how the whole communication process happens. That means in digital network, how two computer talk to each other. That means communicate with each other. That's an example. I'm in Jabalpur right now. I have to send a letter to someone to the Bangalore. I have to send a letter, right? So letter means in letter we'll have two parts. One is my actual letter, what you have written, and letter I'll keep on envelope. Yes or no? That means what I'm going to do the courier or something. I have two things. One is envelope on which I have written source address and destination. Means from where who is sending the letter, his address and phone number, name, everything, as well as destination address, phone number, name, and everything. Means source address as well as destination address, and actual data will be inside the envelope. What exactly information or what exactly things I'm sending, it will be inside the envelope. Yes or no? That we call as packet in digital network. In digital network, communication happen in the form of packets, right? And packet is again we have two parts. One is header, another is data. So in the digital communication, please mute your mic, please. In digital communication happen in the form of packet. If this computer wants to talk to this computer, then it will happen in the form of packets, multiple packets. So whatever communication, for example, you're saying 1 GB file you're forwarding, right? 1 GB file will be broken down to multiple small packets, right? So packet will have two parts. One is First part will be header. Header means envelope, source information and destination information. That means source IP, destination IP, source port and destination port, right? This is called as header, means control information, source and destination information, like your envelope in your letter. Second part is data. Data contains the actual information, what you are forwarding or what you are requesting. If you are requesting something, that time also packet will generate, and this data packet will have some commands, some requests in the form of commands. While header will contain source information from where the packet has come and where the packet has to go, it will be contained on the header. Similarly, in the letter, envelope plus inside letter, what is the actual data for being received, forwarded, and header will have envelope will have the source and destination information in header. Now you got a letter and written address and everything in envelope. Now, how will I send from Jabalpur to Bangalore? How will I send? Through courier, right? So courier means somebody will bring. Courier means the service provider which are doing courier service, and here service provider is this network ISP which provides this connectivity, right? Now you have courier service. Now courier service will transfer the letter to Bangalore through how? What are the ways, transport ways they are using?
Roadways.
Road transport,
Railways.
railway, or
Railways.
through flight, air transport, air, rail, road, or air transport. Yes or no?
Sure.
So there are multiple ways to transfer. Yes or no? To transport. So these are transport medium: road, rail, and air transport are transport medium which will bring your data, will carry your data from source to destination. Means some medium should be there which who can bring. Yes or no? So either you can select all our pros and cons, right? Either you can select rail or air or road, anything based on your requirement. Similarly, now you have this courier service, means network service provider have the network here designed. Now who will carry this packet? Who will carry this packet from source to destination? Anybody in the network, the digital communication? Again, there will be some transport medium. So that transport we call as
TCP.
TCP, transport control. TCP.
UDP. TCP and UDP.
TCP and UDP.
And what we call them? Transport
Control protocol.
protocols. We call it transport protocol. Like in courier, you have rail, fly, air, as well as road. In digital communication, we have two type of transport protocol. What are those?
TCP, UDP.
And
UDP.
UDP.
User defined.
TCP stand for
Connection oriented protocol.
Transmission control protocol.
transmission control protocol.
And
UDP stand
User
for
datagram. User
protocol.
user datagram protocol. Can anybody differentiate what is the difference between TCP and UDP?
TCP is fast.
Protocol. UDP
TCP
Confirmation.
form of communication.
Forwarding.
UDP is unreliable form of communication.
connectionless protocol.
TCP is connection oriented and
UDP high
connection
speed
less.
and TCP is
Connectionless.
slow in speed.
Protocol.
Right.
and in TCP they have three-way handshake.
Right. So it's very important question from interview perspective. What are the transport protocol? What TCP UDP? What is the difference between TCP UDP? And what is the three-way handshake method on TCP? Right. This is very important question. You have my video on YouTube in detail, which explain about what I have given the homework to you. What is TCP UDP and how different between TCP and UDP, when we use TCP and when we use UDP. At what scenario will use TCP and what scenario will use UDP protocol. Got your mind? So three-way handshake, and so this is very important question. You have the homework. You watch my video on YouTube. Okay. YouTube video is there. What is TCP UDP and in all detail. Very important. It's a homework from you. Guys, whatever homework I am giving to you, you have to complete within the same time in same week. Do not carry it for another week that I'll do it later. I'm doing some other activities, right? I believe that nothing is, having more preference than this, right? Many of the people, this is career-changing training, life-changing training. So people especially do not have job. People who are already working in cybersecurity already get settled. I understand that maybe you might take a little lightly, but especially people who want to switch your career or who want to start your career, who does not have job, right? Take it very seriously. Complete, do the revision. I'll say the document also, but not same but you have definition and everything. Especially for basics, as well as you have the recordings also in YouTube, same thing, right? You revise it and you understand just basic. Somebody asks you what is router, somebody asks what is switch, what is netting, what is subnetting, what is DHCP, what is DNS, right? These are basic questions, very basic questions, but it is expected from anyone. Even your freshers or your 12 years experience, it can be asked from anyone because these are the foundation basics. If you do not have your base clear, right, you cannot, build a building, right? Otherwise, it will fall down after some time. The base is not strong. Yes or no? You'll be able to communicate. You'll be able to discuss any topic when your foundation is strong. Yes or no? Then only you'll be able to communicate with anyone. Otherwise, you may get the job, you work in the office, but whenever it comes with discussion or something, when you have to speak on some topics, right? You'll be silent. You'll not able to speak. You cannot discuss. Yes or no? So foundation has to be strong. And again, this is with respect to interview also. Any question can be asked, right? So prepare these basic topics for now, right? So I hope you have written the homework. TCP UDP. Watch this video in detail, right? So TCP and UDP are the protocols which brings your packets from source to destination and back from destination to source once they will get the data, like your transport medium. So here TCP and UDP, you learn it in detail. Okay, and subscribe the channel, also YouTube channel, so that you'll get the notification whenever we have new video uploaded. So once I get the time here, we have recently shifted our office in Jaipur location. So once I have a time, I'll create more videos in such topics which are important from interview perspective. So you watch the video and comment it. Do not forget to comment so that it will reach to the maximum people. Okay, like, comment, and subscribe so that it will reach to the more audience. Okay, so this is the TCP and UDP. How the data is being packet is being transported from source to destination, right? That we call as UDP. So in the packet in header, what will happen? In the header, contain what information? Then the source and destination. Source means what? So what information such as IP address of source IP address, from where the packet has come, where the packet has to go, source and destination IP address, as well as source port, as well as destination port. So do you have understanding what is port? IP address you understand, but what is port? See, you have home, right? You have home. Now, IP address means your home address. Your home address is your IP address. Sorry, home मैं computer बना दिया मैंने. Sorry, मैं computer ही बनाना है. Your home address is your IP address. For example, 199.0.2.100. This is your home address, and this is the destination home address, right? Now, your home is having multiple doors. Yes or no? From which door you will leave and go here? This door you can give, this door you can give, this door. But you have to go to this company. One of the company. Now company, you have to go with the HR company address is this one. You reached here. Now in the company, they have multiple department, multiple doors, HR department, finance department, your IT department, security department. Yes or no? Finance department, multiple department you have. Get it, man? So here you reached using IP address, you reach to the address. But address only is not everything. You should know which department you have to go, and that department door is from where. Yes or no? Get it, mind? So if you go from this door, this is IT department, this is finance, this is security, this is facility, multiple department. That is this is the door on the destination machine. Destination, those port we call it destination ports. Similarly, in any of the machine, in any of the computer in the network, will have 65,700 something port number. Means this computer, every computer has 65,000 doors. From where? See, doors means cable is only one, but virtually once you go to the computer, there are 65,000 ports. From where? Here traffic come, here traffic come. 65,700 ports number. Yes or no? So if you want to access, for example, in this computer, there are multiple applications are hosted. You have Facebook.com hosted, some other applications are hosted. Every application will have common IP address. So every company will have the same address. Department of multiple. So Facebook also has same IP address. Some other applications also same IP address. But IP address you configure same. But you want to access Facebook.com. Facebook ID, where you have multiple applications on the same computer, and will identify based on the port number. For example, Facebook will use port number 443. So if you want to access Facebook.com, you enter this particular IP address and enter port number 443. If you enter some other port number, you can't reach Facebook. You can reach some other application.
443 HTTPS. No?
Yes. So just an example, I'll tell you what is this. So 443 for Facebook, right? So if you enter this particular destination IP address and port number, then reach Facebook. May possible inside computer, there are some other applications on the same computer. IP address will be the same port number, for example, 25 port number. Some other application here.
Mail port.
Yes or no?
Mail port number.
So, but different services, correct? Different services, we have different port number. So, which particular machine you want to connect, which service you want to access, it will be defined based on the port number. So you understand, when you access something, it's called destination port number or destination machine, and your port called a source port number, right? From your home, which door you are from which door you are going does not matter, right? Whether you go from this door does not matter. That is the reason when we check what kind of communication is happening, source port does not matter to us. Apart from in 65,000 port numbers, any random port anytime can be used to go. Any port number, but destination port number will be fixed. If I want to access Facebook.com, port number is 443. If I want to send an email, port number is 25. So 65,000 port number we have. I can install any application in any port number. It is not like 443 only or something like this. Any port number I can deploy any application. So 65,000 port I have. Address is same only IP address, but different applications are on different port number. That means I have office, different department. I can create here. Okay, bhaiya, same address, IT department, you go from here. Finance, you go from here. HR from go from here. Security from go here, right? So these are different department. Similarly, in one computer, you may have multiple applications, but all the applications should be on different port number. So it's up to me which application I deploy on which port number. For example, if I deploy Facebook.com, this particular IP address and port number, for example, 1035. Then I have to tell people, then you connect Facebook on this particular IP address on 1035. Yes or no? I can do that, but there will be a challenge. Challenge means I have to tell people that, bhaiya, if you want to access the Facebook.com, then go on this port number only. Otherwise, you will not be able to access because Facebook.com is hosted on this one. So what happens is, INA has made the standard that if you want to access Facebook.com website, if you give this port number, some other people will give different port number, some other people will give different port number for web services, right? For specific services, then will be confusion. Every time people will have to remember, I should know the port number. Then INA has standardized the port number. Whenever you are using any services you are hosting over the internet, means some other people over the internet should be able to access, then INA has fixed the port number for specific services. Get it? Means you cannot use random services. If you want to host some website here internally only, you can configure any port number. Yes or no? But when you talk about the internet communication, means other people has to access this over the internet, then INA has standardized the port number. Means specific port number you have to use to avoid the confusion. Yes or no? So, for example, Facebook is website, right? Website work on the HTTPS. See, website you can access in two protocol, application protocol, which is HTTP or HTTPS. Both are same for application, but it is secure. It is hypertext transfer protocol, secure, and this is not secure, right? But both are application level of protocol, right? To access any web application. So you can see, so INA says that any application which are using HTTPS should be deployed on port number 443. Facebook.com is HTTPS, means 443. For example, SIEM it is HTTPS, but if it is HTTP, then port number
80.
Yes or no? So whenever I type on the browser, also understand, because now standardization is being created, right? Once I type HTTPS from a browser will understand you type HTTPS. That means I have to route the traffic on port number. Which port number?
443.
443. You don't need to write the port number on the browser. You just write HTTPS. Browser will understand the traffic has to be moved on port number 443. When you type HTTP, it will route the traffic on port number 80. Similarly, when you are sending email, when, for example, Outlook, through Outlook, you send an email.
25.
Sending an email. An email service, INA has reserved the port number 25. So if I have mail server, if I am deploying email services, then this application I have to deploy on port number 25 only. Then only people will be able to send an email on port number 25. I can't use any other port number. Internally, if I have internal email system, I can use it. But if I want, other people can also should be able to send an email to my emails. Then we have to come to the port number 25. These are standard and well-known port numbers, right? The homework for you now is what are the various well-known port number that you have to remember, such as for HTTPS, port number 443. For HTTP,
80.
For DNS,
53.
When your browser does the lookup, right? DNS lookup of DNS server, it do the query DNS lookup port number 53. That is also fixed for DNS port number 53. SMTP for sending the email
25.
20.
25.
Yes or no? And Kerberos, anybody knows Kerberos?
88.
88.
Protocol for Kerberos. And for SSH
22.
For SFTP
22.
SFTP
23, sir.
22.
115.
SSH and SFTP both are 22. Secure port number. SFTP means secure file transfer protocol. In order to send a file securely, we use 22. FTP
20.
2021.
20. 21.
20 and 21. One is for data, another is for control. 21. POP3
110.
110.
0. WMI. Anybody knows? 135. So some of the other port number that you have to remember, right? LDAP. Anybody knows?
1143.
389.
IMAP 143, sir.
For LDAP 389.
389. LDAP means It's same as Kerberos only. It's again an authentication mechanism. LTAP. Port number 389. Why this remembering this port is important? You'll realize in the later period why it is important. Why? Because whenever you do the investigation, right, from SIEM perspective, once it's a security analyst, once you do the investigation, you see the connection is coming from this particular IP source IP address and trying to hit the particular destination IP address on port number 443. Destination port number is 443. You understand somebody is trying to access the website. That is running port number is 443. When you see traffic is coming on port number 25, what does it mean that? Somebody
Somebody sending email to the
right. That is the reason. So we consider destination port only. Source port number always can be any random port. Right now I'm accessing the website, right? My source IP, destination port number 443. But source port can be any random port in every communication, right? Source port does not matter because you are coming from this door or this door or this door does not matter, right? That is the reason source port does not matter, and it can be any random port, always more than 1024. While destination port number is fixed, depend on what kind of service you are using. Understand?
Sir, what is PATs and PAT?
What is
PAT?
Port address translation. Port also can be translated.
Sir, do you know, like, since there are a lot of ports, what are the most important ports that one needs to know?
So this is this below 1024, many port number is standard, well-known port number. These are the most important port number that I have written. Apart from that, you can search in Google. That is your homework. Well-known. Search in Google. Well-known port number. This is what you have to search. Well-known port number. Once you search, you'll get some more port number that you have to remember. Because you are doing the investigation analysis on the SOC, it is expected from you that you should know the port number, because you're doing the investigation analysis. You know which traffic is coming on which port number, which source IP, which destination IP. That is the game that you're going to play as a part of SOC. So because you're doing on a daily basis, of course, if something you're doing on a daily basis, you will remember, and that is what expected from you. Written? Huh? Simple modal transfer protocol for mail 25. Huh? Kerberos is an authentication protocol. LDAP and Kerberos both are authentication protocol. Kerberos.
Hello, excuse me.
Yes.
Is there query?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you explain port again? Actually, my internet was down.
Then I will share this to you, this session, or you could watch the session which is available in the YouTube also. Full topic I cannot explain you back, but
No,
video is
not
available.
full topic.
Port number is any. You have multiple doors in a system, right? That is called as port number. IP address will be same, but multiple doors.
Okay.
So what I'm saying now, you know what happens from source to destination? What communication is happening? This all topic I am giving the brief knowledge, not deep dive, and that is enough from interview perspective, also from understanding perspective, right? So this is actually networking classes that we are going to have. So we are not going to deep dive the networking concept, right? Whatever knowledge required from cybersecurity analyst perspective, we are having the brief understanding. Okay, once we start with security related, SOC related topics, then we'll have very deep dive. You know what happens? how in the digital network, how communication happen from source to destination, right? There's a reference model. It's a reference model which defines how communication happen from source to destination in the form of layers. There is a model called as OSI model. There's a model called as OSI model. If you know it, if you don't know it, no problem. OSI model in networking, we have OSI model in networking. OSI stands for
Open
system interconnection.
Open system interconnection.
Open system interconnection.
Interconnection.
There is a model called as open system interconnection. There is OSI model. OSI model. But this is not a model which have been kept somewhere in your lab somewhere. Right? It's not a physical model. It's not a physical. It's just an understanding. It's a concept, not a model which have been kept somewhere. Right? You understand that? It's not a physical model. It's just a concept. Right? So OSI model, we call as model open system interconnection. That will be OSI model. Is a model is a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination in the form of 7 layers. 7 layers will come between your physical to the application. Application for the Facebook application hosted here, and from your physical system to the application, right? It has been divided in the form of 7 layers, right? It's just a reference model which subdivide your system in different layers. So identify the problems. Any problem happen in the connectivity, you will understand, okay, which layer the problem is. Connectivity problem, or transport related problem, or application related problem, right? So to identify the problem, OSI model help us from troubleshooting perspective, right? So let me explain you in a brief model. So there are 7 layers on the OSI model. What are those? Anybody knows?
Application layer, data,
presentation, session,
transport section.
What is first layer? What is first layer?
Application
layer.
physical layer.
Physical layer.
First layer is not application. Application layer.
First layer is physical layer.
From source and it is physical layer. From destination and it is application layer.
No, when I talk about layer 1 is physical.
Physical.
Wait, I'm not saying which one is first. I am saying layer 1. So layer 1 is always physical.
Physical layer.
Physical. Then second.
Data
layer.
People who did not hear about it, heard about this layer and everything, any concept, understand that some people are answering the questions and some people do not get demotivated that, okay, people are already having knowledge, right? Get it right? You do not get demotivated by understanding that, oh, I am on the first listening this and people already knows that. Don't feel demotivated. Get it right? There is no something that extra we have learned. This is basic that some people have learned before and you are learning right now. This is not a big thing. Get it right? Understanding? We did the engineering, we learned the subject. That is the reason we have some basic knowledge. But it does not mean that you cannot learn. See, I'm telling you, in engineering, for example, I'm electronics background, right? In whole engineering, I had only single subject related to computer data communication. One subject. Rest one subject C++, something like that, which we never used. One subject data communication, which talk about this communication. There only we see LAN, WAN, MAN, and OSI model, right? In one semester. In the one semester, only once we have gone through the subject, but that too also many of the people at the last of the semester during the examination, one day, one night, last night, they have gone through it, right? So one semester means around 5 months of the semester, and out of 5 months, just 1 week or 2 weeks, we have gone through that book and we have this knowledge, right? So do not compare, do not think like that you are engineer and you have gone through, you have already have knowledge. I'm not technical, so I don't have knowledge. So you understand what technical knowledge I'm having right now. Being an engineering graduate, what technical knowledge we had that time. and other people are having, right? So if 15 days I can read the book and I had the knowledge, maybe 15 days you can put now to understand, right? It's not very difficult. It's same only. It's not something that big things we have gone through. You have not got the, you have missed it. Please mute your mic here. Who is not keeping the mic on mute? Chitra, Sarjan Singh. A lot of noise is coming. I am telling you, I have to remove you from the meeting in case you do not put your mic on mute. I don't know how many times I will tell you to keep your mic on mute. Whenever you ask the question, you unmute it and ask the question. But keep it mute unless the noise is being created. So what I'm saying is, it's not a big thing that you are non-technical. I'm BCom. I don't know, right? 90%, 95% thing we have learned in the engineering, we are never utilizing it. 95%, I'm telling you, because our syllabus is very old. What we are learning in engineering, we are not implementing. Still in electronics, we are going through 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐢𝐴 antenna, that Doordarshan. Yes or no? They have not even removed from the subject. So that is what I'm telling, that subjects are very old. 95% things we are not using it. Do not consider that I'm non-technical. Some people are coming, I'm non-technical person. So can I understand this? So this training is from scratch we are starting. But that is same for everybody, right? They do not, people does not have extra knowledge. In case some people has already joined the networking or doing the job, they will have understanding definitely for sure. But if normally B graduate, he does not work anywhere, and you are BCom or BA somewhere, everybody is on the same page only almost, right? Do not feel that. It's all about your mindset. So make your mindset high all the time. Do not think I'm BCom or I'm BB or I'm other pharmacy or somewhere. So these guys are technical and non-technical, so I feel difficulty. It's all about mindset. It's all about mindset that you are IITian, you are IIM, and I am normal graduate. Right? So this is all about, I am telling you, everybody has the same capacity, same power, everybody has the same. We born same only, right? The capacity has been developed by us only, right? If I have developed my capabilities, you can also develop, right? It's just a mindset that you are BCom, you're thinking that I am BCom, I have done graduation, I may earn 15,000, 20,000 is big amount for me. Only I can earn. He is an engineering graduate, so 70,000. Well, of course, he will earn 60, 70,000 because he is an engineer. And engineer will think that, oh, he's an IITian, right? He must be earning 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs package initially because he is IITian. I'm telling you that academic is almost same. It's not something that different they are learning. Like there is no difference between the capabilities. Capabilities are developed by us. If you are normal graduate, okay, put your effort. You can also develop the capabilities. There is no difference. That 4 years I have become superior, and since you have done now, you have become inferior, right? There is no difference. I'm telling you, it's all about mindset, because we have a limitation. When I did the IITian, I'll be think that I have the confidence that I'm IITian, means IITian are earning 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs. They put your effort in such a way that you'll reach to 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Normal BCom, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 50,000, 20,000. 50,000, 20,000 is the package. Then you will, control yourself within that zone only, right? It's all about mindset. If I can do it, you can also do it. If he can do it, other person can also do it. It's all about the capability that we develop. It's all about the mindset. So all we are learning here, just basic. Everybody on the same page. Everybody will understand the same. So do not think that people has already background. You can also learn. Maybe if I have knowledge, I may take, for example, 1 month, 2 months to get the job. Maybe you will have 3 months, right? But you can also learn. Not difficult. Just give me a moment, okay? I'm getting a call. Just give me a moment. Okay, so physical layer, data link layer, and third layer.
Network layer.
Network layer.
Network layer.
Network layer. Network. Third layer is network layer. Fourth,
Transport layer.
Transport layer.
Transport layer.
transport, then
Session layer.
Session layer.
Section layer.
session, then
Presentation layer.
Presentation layer.
presentation layer, then
Application.
Application layer.
application. Right? These are 7 layers, right? Physical from your computer, then data link, then network, then transport, then session, then presentation, application. Your application, which are hosted on Facebook, your application generally there are 2 models comes when you access anything facebook.com, right? When you access facebook.com, you open the browser, right? Browser comes under which layer?
Application.
Application.
So communication starts from application to physical, then physical to again application. Your application which is deployed, which is again an application layer. So physical to application to physical and physical to application. Get in mind. So how the communication happen on source destination? It will be divided in the multiple layers, 7 layers: physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application layers. Right. So which device come under which layer? Right. So that is the important question. So from me perspective, see, OSI layer concept is 99% people are not clear about this concept. Even the interviewer who is asking the question, what is OSI model, how it works, and what is the layer, maybe himself is not clear. Many of you will go through on the internet. This concept is not clear, many of the people. So if interviewer asks what is OSI model, just write it here. Just write it, what is OSI model, that you can explain a brief, and that is enough for that. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. And it's a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination in the form of 7 layers. In the form of 7 layers, right? But what is OSI model? You can tell that OSI model is a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination in the form of 7 layers. And what are those 7 layers? You write this model. First, physical. First layer 1 is physical, layer 2 is data, and third is transport, fourth is, if anybody asks what is layer number 3, is network. नहीं, लेयर नंबर 1 उसी को बोलते हैं. लेयर नंबर 1 मींस फिजिकल ओनली. नहीं तो आदमी तो बताने में दिक्कत होगी ना, फिर कहां से स्टार्ट हो कहां से स्टार्ट नहीं होगा, इसलिए लेयर नंबर 1 इज फिजिकल ओनली. यू राइट दिस मॉडल.
Sir, communication in OSM model, communication happens from application to physical and physical to application, right?
Yes. But so if you talk device, then layer number 1 is physical.
Okay. So like in the computer, we will enter the website, and that starts from application.
Right. The browser application. Browser application.
Yes.
Application to physical till the cable, and then cable to again application.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so generally interview ask the questions, what are the different layer devices, which device works on which layer, right? You know about physical layers, right? So physical layer, anybody ask you what are layer 1 device as per the OC model, what are the devices works on layer number 1? So anybody?
Our cables and Wi-Fi.
Fiber, wireless.
Repeater.
You write hubs.
Cables.
And you can write hubs, repeaters,
Cables.
hubs, repeaters, cables. Hubs, repeaters, cables work on the layer number 1. And what about the layer number 2?
Switches.
Bridges.
Switch, bridge, switches, bridges. Switch and bridges work on the physical layer.
Threads.
And layer number 2, है ना? And layer number 3?
Routers.
Router, firewall.
Routers.
Routers,
And
firewall.
Packet.
Correct. Router, firewall,
L3
and
switch.
L3 switches. L3 switches. I'll tell you. Generally, switches the traffic, right? Packet based on the MAC address, and MAC address is the layer 2 address. Switch has understanding of MAC address. That's the reason we call as switch is a layer 2 device, because it forwards the traffic based on the MAC address. So any device which understands the MAC address we call as layer number 2 device. So switch understand MAC address. Switch does not understand IP address. It forwards the traffic, final communication based on MAC address only. That is the reason we call as switch is a layer 2 device. While router route the traffic based on the IP address. Final communication happens based on the IP address, and IP address is the layer 3 address, and router use the IP address. That's the reason we call router is layer 3 device. But nowadays some digital switches are coming which can understand MAC address also, means switching also they can do, and they can do the routing also. Yes or no? That is the reason we call a layer 3 switch. And the layer 3 switch can work on layer 2 also, layer 3 also. You can do the switching also and routing also. That means your home, nowadays you have routers, are Geo router, Airtel fiber optical cable router, right? They are layer 3 switches actually. They do the switching also, they do the routing also. Before, long back, when you take the internal connection, you have 2 devices. One is router, then another is switch. Yes, sir, there are 2 devices they you to configure. Now only 1 device, because that is a digital switch, layer 3. It has a switch also inbuilt and router also inbuilt. That is called layer 3 switch. So layer 3 switch has the MAC address understanding also and IP address also. That is the layer 3 switch. Yes or no? So so layer 3 devices are router, means extended router, classic router, as well as layer 3 switch. Understand? Understand? What about layer 4?
TCP, UDP.
TCP, UDP are the protocol. Means protocols, ports and protocols. When you talk about ports and protocol, it comes on that layer number 4. Ports and protocol comes under the layer number 4. Ports and protocol comes under the, like TCP, UDP, right? Protocols, any ports comes under the layer number 4. But the devices which understand like firewall, layer 3, in the layer 3 you also write firewall, because firewall also understand IP address. On the layer 3, because firewall also understand IP address, so firewall is also layer 3, or firewall is layer 3 plus layer 4 device. Firewall understand transfer protocol ports also. So definitely in layer 4 number you have firewall, and you have L4 routers. L4 routers. Nowadays digital routers are coming which can understand IP address also and ports and protocol also.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Sir, do firewalls work on application layer?
There are firewalls are coming in which are coming on the application as well, but it depends on which firewall you're using. In standard firewall, work on layer number 3 and 4. That means network and transport. But one more, 3 and 4, because IP address and port number protocols. So layer number 3 and 4, both firewall. Application layer firewall is different firewall, which can work on the application layer as well. For application layer security, we have WAF, web application firewall. I'll discuss here, which will work on the layer number 7 as well. So now, this one, layer number 4, you have firewall, you have L3, L4 routers, L4 router. These are protocol which are being used on the port and protocol, which are being used on transport layer. Layer number 6, 7, and number 6, 7, session, presentation, and application. Generally, we consider under application only. One application may have all the functionality. Your browser will have application also, presentation as well as session. It creates a session also and present also the data and application also. Presentation means encryption and decryption also happen on browser level as well as application. It's application also, right? Generally, you may have some devices like browser which work with all 3 layers, 6, 7. Generally, when we talk about application layer, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7 all comes under application layer only. Get it? So in layer number 7, session being established in layer number session layer, and presentation layer, encryption decryption. In case you want to encrypt the data while transmitting, so encryption and decryption at the receiver, it will decrypt the data, right? It will happen on the layer number 6, right? In case your data is not being encrypted or decrypted, then layer it will not encrypt. The presentation layer will not come in the picture in that case, right? Application layer like your HTTPS, HTTP, these are protocol, SMTP protocol, right? These are protocol, telnet, FTP, right? These are protocol which are application layer of protocol. Sometimes people get confused. TCP, UDP is the transport protocol. Then what about HTTPS, SMTP? These are also protocol, right? But these are the application layer of protocol. When you access an application, right? Outlook work on the SMTP protocol, right? FTP application, telnet, HTTP, HTTPS, SNMP, these are the application layer protocol, while TCP and UDP is transport layer of protocol. Get it? That's enough now. So that is what being asked from the interviewer perspective. What is OS model? What are different model on the OS? What are different layers on the OSI? And which device work under which layer? The browser comes under the application layer. You can write the browser, your Outlook application, your FTP application, if you know, comes under the application protocol. You can write the application name, device name under application layer. Browser, FTP application, Outlook, browser, FTP application. Outlook. These all applications work on the application layer, and all application has the functionality of layer number 5, 6, 7. Okay, got it? To be continued. It is 12:03 now. Now we have designed the network, right? We have designed the network. We understand that by designing the network now, our internal user can access the internet. We design the network, as well as outside user can also come inside the network, right? That means in internet, you understand, it's the public network, means everybody's network. In internet, public network means bad people, good people, all type of people. Yes or no? So you are, if you are having home, right? If you are having office, you are having gate, but if there is no security guard, what will happen? Theft. Yes or no? Somebody can come and steal your data, can compromise machine, can physically demolish your anything, can steal anything, right? Yes or no? So that means even if we have gate, we need someone to check. Only authorized people can go inside, not unauthorized. Unauthorized people should not go inside. Yes or no? So we have to secure our physical office. Similarly, in digital network also, we in the network means communication is can be established from inside to outside, outside to inside. We need some devices which can secure the data, secure the network, so that only authorized communication can happen. Unauthorized, bad people, attackers cannot attack your company, cannot attack your data, right? So now we have understand how to design a network. Now on the next class, we have to understand how to secure the network. There are many in the networking, there are many type of security devices. One by one, we'll understand what are different devices to secure the data, secure the network. Why we are using different devices? Why not one device, right? So everything. So what are the popular devices for security? We are going to have a brief understanding. To be continued on next Saturday. So you write your homework, as well as I'll be sharing some document also basics. You just go through those documents, right? Gather the information. Maybe you may have better information over the internet and other sources also, but you'll get the list of topics, right? You can go through the guide, as well as if you want to explore it over the internet. As of now, your homework is just for networking understanding. Okay. Anybody, any confusion, question?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, I have studied somewhere in the Google that IPv6 address is represented by 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits. Is this definition right or wrong?
So what?
IPv6 address is represented by 8 groups of 4 hexadecimal digits.
Correct. That's correct.
Sir, but you told that IPv6 is represented by 6 groups.
8 groups. It is 8, actually 8 group. It's actually 8 group.
Okay.
It is a 8 group, correct? It's 8 group. Because generally IPv6 we are not using in the network generally. It is only used by smart devices right now. So that is the reason it will be 8 elements on this.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Any confusion? Any question?
All good.
Done. All good. Okay, guys. So we'll wind up the day. We'll continue on Saturday. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.